Welcome everyone to Monday Night Racing. The Season 5 playoffs continue tonight at Daytona International Speedway. Great to see everyone once again. Who here is tuning in for the first time? This is now the fourth week we've hosted Monday Night Racing, the playoffs here on my YouTube channel. It's good to see a lot of familiar names who've made it back for the fourth week in a row. A few new names as well. You are watching the Out of the Groove pre-race show. The green flag will be dropping just past the top of the hour, but we have a ton of content coming your way over the next 20, 30 minutes or so. But for now, you're stuck with me. And we already got people asking, where's my 8-wide racing? You didn't get enough of it at Michigan this weekend with the Real Cup cars? Where's this coming from? But no, I appreciate it. You guys know what to expect. It is Daytona running the ARCA cars this evening. So that's going to be great. Going to be a great show. But good to see so many of y'all for the first time. Mac and Cheese, first time here. We got Work Job, first time here. Parker. NASCAR National, a lot of new names tuning in. Larry, Herbie. Oh, we've got Herbie in here. Heck yeah. A lot of familiar names as well. Good to see you guys. Tyler Jones new as well. A lot of people asking what racetracks I'm going to be at in real life over the coming months. Right now, I don't have any set plans, but stay tuned. Anything's possible. Anything's possible. And it's good to see you as well, Tornado. Saw you've been in the chat the last few races. Been super duper engaged, super into the racing. We appreciate that. Glad to see you're hyped up for another one here tonight. Like I said, this is a playoff race, so it's not just a playoff race. It's a playoff elimination race. This is the final race of the round of 10, if you will. See, MNR Monday Night Racing goes from 13 down to 10, down to 7, and then we'll set the championship for the championship race. Tonight, 10 will be reduced to 7. We have 3 drivers below the cut line: Colin Fern, Max Kennan, Gary Sexton. You can actually see here the full playoff grid as things stand. Adam Cabot is the only driver safe thanks to his win last week. But there you go. David Shieldhouse, Presley Sora, Anthony Alfredo, James Bickford, Ryan Vargas, Will Rogers. No one is safe. It's Daytona, after all, pack racing. If you watched last Monday night stream, we talked to several of these drivers, and they all said just how anxious they were for this race because there is no way to hide. Daytona, pack racing, the great equalizer, if you will. So, and yes, Tyler, ARCA breaks may very much be a thing tonight. There no shortage of chaos tonight at Daytona. I'm super duper excited to be bringing this to you guys. We'll bring in the broadcast booth here for here before too long, but it's good to see all you guys. What's your favorite racetrack? I love Daytona. Now we're running the old Daytona tonight, I believe from the year 2008, if I'm not mistaken. So a little rougher before it was most recently repaved. So a little more character in this version of Daytona that we'll be racing tonight. But I love old Daytona, new Daytona. That's a good one. Bristol. Can't go wrong with Bristol. But right tonight, I'm excited to see some pack racing. I see Tornado's already made a pick. James Bickford. Chat, who else are you guys picking? I just listed off many of the playoff drivers. There's some other drivers who aren't in the playoffs who will certainly be competitive tonight. Tornado's going with James Bickford. I'll give you guys my pick here before too long. Cito Brown asking if David Shieldhouse make it all the way to the championship based off consistency. I think he's finished in the top 3 in every race so far these playoffs. I may be wrong. I know he won the first race. I may be wrong on that, but I know he's been there pretty close. Couple others for James Bickford. Anthony Alfredo getting some shout outs as well. Gary Sexton. Justin Malillo's actually in the chat mentioning Gary Sexton, but Justin's also going to be for sure a threat tonight, though he's not in the playoffs. Chance to play spoiler. Presley Sora, a few more Alfredos. Corey Heim, that's true. Heim has been super duper competitive the past few weeks. I'm not 100% sure if he's in the field tonight. Likely is. He's not in the playoffs, so kind of a wild card there. The pace car. I don't know. If the last 3 weeks are any indication, I think we'll see quite a bit of green flag racing. Now, it is Daytona. Great chance for great chaos. I don't expect as many long green flag runs as we saw the past few races, but there's certainly the chance for some. I'd give these drivers their due credit. A few more Anthony Alfredo cheers here. A Vargas or 2 as well. So a lot of mixed bag. I remember the first night we did this 3 weeks ago, I think it was. Everyone was picking, Anthony Alfredo. of course, Xfinity Series driver in the real world NASCAR Xfinity Series. Second week, a few more people, chimed in. Oh, some Vargases, some Shieldhouses, some Adam Cabots. And now this week, it's all over the darn place. So it's awesome to see new viewers of Monday Night Racing sort of latching on to different drivers. They followed their journey these past 3 weeks. Tonight is really the midway point of these playoffs. So it's cool to see sort of like legions of fans being formed here midway through the playoffs. So thanks again, Tornado. We'll definitely see Heim leading. I've raced him myself in iRacing in a Talladega lobby, and it was pretty fun. Dang, so we got some inside information. An insider's take here. Corey Heim going to be one of the threats to win this race tonight. A few more Anthony Alfredo plugs. Seems like we have a clear favorite amongst the chat. And I know I was talking to some of the stats people before we went live. Alfredo has been one of the best statistically in this league at the super speedways. So not a bad pick. Not a bad pick whatsoever. And Bobby Gerhart, they are racing the ARCA cars tonight. That's going to be pretty exciting. How many laps? I actually don't know how many laps. Can I get in my producer in my ear? How many laps is tonight's race? 90 laps. That's what I'm being told. I forgot to look that up before I went live. Very unprofessional over here. The jet dryer is going to win tonight. What time? When are we going green? Just past the top of the hour. That's the plan. 90 laps around Daytona. Could be here for a long, long time. We'll see how clean these boys keep it. But with playoff eligibility on the line, 3 drivers going home. Yeah, it's gonna be tight. Yes, thanks, Cito. Thank you for that. Well, here in a few moments, we will be talking to a couple of the playoff drivers. I appreciate all of you getting here early to catch the Out of the Groove pre-race show. We've got some pretty fun stuff coming up. We'll talk to several playoff drivers. We've got our typical weekly featured segment. But before we get to all that, I have a new podcast you guys may have heard about. I've tweeted about it. I've only mentioned it a couple times on the show. But me and my friend Josh Moll review racing movies. We call it Zoom Lens. And we had a new episode go up just this week. We reviewed I think it came out in 1966, I believe, movie Fireball 500. So in honor of a new episode of Zoom Lens dropping, we're talking all things racing movies. I wanted to ask all of the playoff drivers what their favorite racing movie of all time was. Now, we'll cut to that in just a moment, but first I want to ask the chat. A lot of people obviously think of the Talladega Nights, the Days of Thunder, but chat, do you guys have a favorite racing movie? Because if you do, me and Josh need to add it to our list for future podcast episodes. And thanks, Nathan. I appreciate the super chat. Check out the Winston Throwback Lead Wednesday night. Thank you, G Sports, for an authentic 2002 Winston Cup experience. I love that. I love all the different leagues, all the different themes that people take on. That's pretty cool. Thanks for the super chat, Nathan, and absolutely be sure to check that out on Wednesday. Cars, a lot of people saying Cars and Cars 3, Talladega Nights, Stroker Ace, sweet deal. That's a throwback. Days of Thunder, of course, classic. Does Smokey and the Bandit count? I'd say it does. It's in the ballpark, sure. Yeah, I've seen Smokey and the Bandit. It's been a while. I'll have to catch up on that one. Fast and the Furious 10. God, they've made 10 of those now. Holy moly. Days of Thunder, Logan Lucky. We did an episode on Logan Lucky already. We actually also did an episode on Stroker Ace and on Trading Paint. I see someone mentioning Trading Paint, kind of a smaller budget film from a few years ago that we actually also did an episode on just recently. And thank you, MDI TV. Thanks for wishing good luck. I'll catch the replay. I'm off to do my broadcast. Sweet deal. We'll look forward to seeing you in the future then. Ford versus Ferrari Rush. Herbie Fully Loaded. Some great responses here. I'm excited for you guys to hear what the playoff drivers said. So now let's ask all 10 remaining Monday Night Racing playoff drivers just what their favorite racing movie of all time is. What is the best racing movie?
I mean, obviously the big two, Days of Thunder and Talladega Nights. Talladega Nights kind of gets a lot of crap, I guess, just because of the way that it portrays NASCAR. But I think it's funny. I think it's obviously goes off of stereotypes and quick, easy, cheap jokes. But I think it's genuinely a really funny Will Ferrell movie. And
Ford versus Ferrari, easy. Okay. That's such a great movie. That's one of my favorite movies ever.
I gotta say Days of Thunder. for sure.
Classic.
I feel like that's one of the few racing movies that actually takes it seriously. If they were to revamp that and come out with one today and do like a deep dive into what actually goes on in the NASCAR garage, I feel like it would be a huge hit in the theaters.
I think they should consider it. Tom Cruise just brought Top Gun back to relevance.
I know.
Days of Thunder.
Man, this is a hard one because, if I'm just hanging out with my buddies, and Talladega Nights is on, we're going to sit there and we're going to laugh our ass off all night. For me growing up, right, I was 4 years old when Dale Sr. died. And so 3 to me is just a cool story.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think it gets talked about enough, but it's a cool story to watch Dale grow up, go through, the trials and tribulations of being a race car driver, losing his family twice and finally making it. And I just think that's a really cool and underrated movie.
Best racing movie.
Or your favorite, if you have a favorite.
That's difficult because I don't really like racing movies because I think they're all fake, right? But compared to what the real world of racing is, but I'd say Rush is probably one that comes to mind. Those guys back in the day in Formula One were such rock stars, and James Hunt, right? He was the total rock star of all of them and lived that lifestyle. And I think a lot of guys have gotten away from that. I'm a big Lewis fan of mainly, where he came from, but also because he's still like a star. He uses that platform to be that guy.
Ooh, my favorite racing movie. Days of Thunder is a classic. Is it perfect? No. But does it work? Yes. I haven't seen a lot of the more modern ones, to be honest with you. Like Ford versus Ferrari, I never saw that. I heard it was good. I saw Driven. That was a good one.
Definitely has to be Ford versus Ferrari. And I know that's a very recent one. I know it's very stereotypical for me to maybe say Days of Thunder, which I really like Days of Thunder as well. But Ford versus Ferrari, it's just unique seeing how that movie portrayed the business of racing, auto racing, whether it be sports cars and other stuff like that, as well as telling that story of just, a true racer. So it was really unique to see that.
From a pure entertainment value, you can't go wrong with Talladega Nights. I mean, it's just super funny and hilarious. There's a movie from the 60s. It's got this, I think it's called Le Mans. As far as cinematically shot, one of my favorite. And then story driven, you can't go wrong with Days of Thunder.
That's actually tricky. Honestly, Days of Thunder is just a go-to for a lot of reasons for the NASCAR industry. So I would probably just have to say that's top of the list.
I'd probably say Cars. I'd say Cars. In fact, after watching Cars, which it had been a while, and I'm a huge fan of Pixar movies, Cars is probably the most accurate in terms of a driver's career path and things like that. If you actually watch the movie in the undertone, they did an awesome job describing a driver's kind of struggles and other things like that, of the deep message of the movie besides all the fun stuff. So I really enjoy Cars.
Yeah, everyone looks at it, it's oh, it's a talking car, it's unrealistic, but no, some of the ways it's the sport is represented, actually it's surprisingly realistic.
It's really crazy. It's actually really crazy. Yeah,
you just have to get past the cars with eyes. That's all it takes. I think James Bickford may have won over several in the chat. When I asked the chat what your favorite racing movie is, got a lot of Cars, 1s and 3s. And Bickford, the only one to pick Cars. I don't know, big Cars fan. I need to go back and watch Cars 3. When I first saw Cars 3, I went full theming. I went and saw it in an old school drive-in movie theater, just went full Cars for that one, but wasn't the greatest viewing experience. I went back and watched it later. To me, that's the best NASCAR movie of the 3. We don't talk about Cars 2. Cars 1's a great movie, but aside from the beginning and the end, there's not a lot of NASCAR in the middle. There's a lot of small town, all that plot development stuff nobody really cares about in movies these days. Cars 3, though, boy, that really speaks to the soul of a lot of modern day NASCAR fans, in my opinion. So, yeah, a lot of James Bickford fans now being created in the chat. That's pretty great. Let's talk about someone who won, or let's talk about someone, I guess I should say, who's still in the playoff hunt. He's actually just a few points below the cut line as we speak coming into this race. But Gary Sexton has had a very strong season. And this week on our special Getting to Know Drivers segment, we sat down with Gary and got to know his background in sim racing and racing all across the board. We got to know him a little bit better. So let's check that out. Gary Sexton, featured driver of the week.
You know him for everything that he does on the track, but also he does so much behind the scenes for every single Monday Night Racing broadcast. Podium Esports own Gary Sexton, donning the number 1 this season in Monday Night Racing, looking for that championship. You do so much behind the scenes with Podium. You've been a member for so many years, but also there's a lot that you do away from the sim. What exactly do you do for a job?
The longest time I've worked in and out of companies as a motion graphics artist, mainly in advertising. It's kind of been a lifelong dream of mine to work in racing, and fortunately enough, my biggest client is a agency out of Charlotte, and do mostly work for Mobile One Racing right now. It's all video, motion graphics, really cool stuff. I was just up and working on the live broadcast for the Pikes Peak Hill Climb, and I'm pretty much responsible for the entire look and feel of Podium. The branding, created the logos, one of the managing members with John Theodore and Ryan Bauer. So yeah, anything to do with the image of Podium Esports, that's me.
So Podium Esports met Monday Night Racing late in season number 1, and they've been with Podium ever since. What has it been like working with Monday Night Racing, making this partnership happen?
I guess you have to go all the way back to the week of that they started canceling sporting events, and we had a relationship with Kevin Hamlin and TJ Majors at the time, and somewhere in there they emailed us during the week when things were looking like they were going to get canceled, and we decided that, hey, like, we're going to put on the Replacements 100 race.
And we are underway with the Replacements 100 at Atlanta Motor Speedway, and Byron and Josh Williams go toe-to-toe.
We brought all that together in like a day. You know, we're in NBC articles and ESPN articles and all this other stuff, and we're just getting inquiries left and right. I think just our prominence in the media and the name out there, they reached out to us, and you know, the rest has been history.
What does it take to put together this production every single week?
I'm about 20 hours a week into each show. There's a team of people. There's yourself, Devin, putting together these videos. We have our commentators doing the research, Kenneth and Jacob Hitz and Blake McCandless. They're doing all their research. We have Michael Hall, our graphics guy. He's constantly tweaking our graphics package. Like, all of our graphics on the broadcast are hand coded. You know, it's a lot. There's probably 15 or so people involved each week from week to week to put on the broadcasts.
And you went from building a computer for work before not having internet to having one of the coolest looking sim rigs, both like just the rig and then also seeing it on a stream. What did it take to make what you are sitting in right now?
The rig behind me is it's kind of a Frankenstein rig. It's one of the first models that Casey and Victory Sim built. When I started, just like everybody, it was just a desk mounted. I had a Thrustmaster T150, and I'm a hobbyist kind of person. I'm creative, so I was just constantly Frankensteining things together. And now the rig behind me is just 4 years of just piecing together every rig that I've ever had. So yeah, it's taken a lot, but it's also a product of a lot of connections I've made through the sim community. A lot of this I didn't even pay for through just the normal money. Try to use my creative ability to achieve the things I want in life, and I've always wanted an awesome sim rig, and that's kind of how I got there.
And we are now joined live by the driver of the number 1. Gary Sexton is here. How's it going, man?
Doing well, Eric. How are you doing tonight?
Doing fantastic. Cool to see you. Is that the same sim rig we just got to see a special feature on? Because I saw a lot of people in the chat were very blown away by it.
Yeah, it is. For the most part, I think some of the B-roll that we had of it is a little bit older. We've got some different pieces and parts now, but it's more or less the same setup. It's nice and cozy, ready to go. And yeah.
You're always adding to it then. It's never finished.
Yeah, it's never finished. It's always a work in project or a work in progress. Just like any hobby, I'll be content one way for 10 minutes, and then the next thing you know, I want to move this around. I'm going to put this over here, and it's always changing.
Awesome stuff. Well, tonight, big race ahead of you. You're in the playoffs, but this is an elimination race, and coming in tonight, you're just a few points below the cut line. So, where's your mentality at? Where's the headspace going into a race like Daytona? It could go any which direction.
Yeah, given where we are on the cut line, we're below it. There could be a wreck, and we could get a decent finish and get in. But I basically look at this as I got to win. I got to go out there and win. What better time to get my first win in the league than here? Lock myself into the next round. I love plate racing. I think we'll qualify well, and I'm just going to try and race up front, try and lead as many laps as I can, and be there at the end. It's a little, these cars are tricky. You cannot push with them without spinning somebody out. So you're really going to have to be careful with your runs and timing them right, and making sure that if you're getting pushed, that you're either taking that run to another lane so that you don't run into the person you're coming up on. And if you don't have room, you got to hope that the guy behind you is aware of what's going on. I've got a really good spotter, Michael Hall. Hopefully you'll get to hear some of his audio tonight. He's really good about telling me what lines are doing what, where my runs are coming from. And, just like in real life, it's complete chaos. You got to be aware of everything that's going on around you, driving out of your mirror if you're in the front of the pack, always looking 5 or 6 cars ahead, making sure you're watching for checkups and stuff. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's always a lot of fun. Hopefully we can hold on to our faster pair until the end of the race, just in case we get caught up in a late race wreck.
Absolutely. You just mentioned a lot of your friends on your specific team, spotter, people you're going to be working with. And we appreciate you kind of miking yourselves up for that tonight. I think that's going to be really cool for the viewers. But do you have any friends on the racetrack that you maybe plan or hope to work with over the course of this race?
Yeah, I've got my 2 teammates, Adam Cabot and Bailey Turner. Adam locked himself in last week with a win, and Bailey isn't in the playoffs. So hopefully in their eyes, I'm the next one to get through, and they're going to help me out coming towards the end of this. So I definitely look for working with them. There's certain guys out here that are really good at plate racing, like Malik. It's always a privilege to have him in here when we're on a plate track. So I always look to work with Malik Ray when I can, because he's always going to be going to the front, always making moves that are going to keep him going forward. So yeah, that's pretty much my plan, and just try and stay up front.
Well, we'll be watching. Hope it works out for you. Good luck tonight, Gary. Good luck making it to that next round.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Awesome stuff. We'll now be joined, I believe we have a mic on him. We'll be joined by Gary's teammate, who he just mentioned, the most recent winner in Monday Night Racing, who is locked in. Adam Cabot joins us now. Adam, how's it going, man? Do you got us?
Yeah, I got you. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, straight out, coming off a win last week, how does that change your approach? You got to be the only driver at Daytona tonight, who's just relaxed, having some fun.
For the most part, I am, but I got to get out of the way that, unfortunately, I tested positive for COVID earlier today. So right now, I'm pumped full of Dayquil, and it's keeping me feeling at least all right, but definitely a little under the weather. There's never a good time to have COVID, but if I had to pick a week, it would definitely be when I'm locked in and when we're at a plate track here. So just kind of trying to complete the laps tonight and see what I can do here.
Well, I hope you're feeling okay, first and foremost. But secondly, we just talked to your teammate, Gary Sexton. He said he was hoping for maybe some help from you since you're already locked in. Does that change the way you race tonight? Are you going to be trying to stick to your teammates closely?
It does, but it's going to be difficult to really work with other cars in the track. You can still push aerodynamically, but the biggest challenge, and I think just the biggest story of the night, is going to be not being able to bump draft in these cars. Since we have the intermediate style bodies in the ARCA cars, not the super speedway style bodies, you can't even so much as, breathe near someone's back bumper without turning them. And even if everyone's on the same page and knows that, it's going to be really tough to not have checkups in the middle of the pack that end up causing wrecks. So that's probably going to be the biggest thing to watch out for tonight. But I also definitely want to give a shout out to Atlas Hair Products, who are jumping on board this week and for the rest of the season. So really excited to have them on board. get them involved with Monday Night Racing. Use code MNR on their website to get 20% off. And yeah, looking forward to finishing off the season strong with them and hopefully giving them, a part of my run to become back-to-back champion in Monday Night Racing.
Yeah, I was going to say the red and white scheme looks awesome. I'm always sentimental to the number 17 car. It looks great. Good luck tonight, Adam. Hope to see you in victory lane at the end of the evening.
Thanks, Eric. Appreciate it.
Awesome stuff. That was Adam Cabot. We spoke to Gary Sexton earlier. Now it's time, as I believe qualifying is about to get underway. I think it's time we bring in the booth tonight. We've got Blake McCandless, Kenneth Bueno, Jacob Hitz calling the action. A perfect trifecta in the booth. Gentlemen, can you hear me? Blake, take it away.
I got you, Eric. Thank you very much. And again, wonderful job on the Out of the Groove pre-race show. As I welcome my fellow broadcasters up into the booth, we got Kenneth Bueno and Jacob Hitz that will be out in the turns tonight. We'll be doing a radio-style broadcast tonight for the Daytona International Speedway for tonight's running of a very important race, Kenneth. As Eric mentioned, playoff cutoff race at Daytona. I don't know how you can create any more drama than that.
It's a very important race, Blake, but it's also a very scary one. A lot of guys, even months prior, before this race was even part of the schedule, they were saying, all right, this is going to be a race full of chaos, full of unpredictability, and over the past 2 super speedway races, we've seen just that with different combos. Talladega with the next-gen cars, Daytona with the next-gen cars to kick off the Season 5 schedule. So tonight is going to be an unbelievable one where a lot of guys are basically going to go full send mode. There's no holds barred here. You're either going full 150% or you're just going to back out of the playoff race entirely. That's what makes tonight so special, and it's going to be unbelievable to call it from turns 1 and 2 tonight.
Well, I think, Jacob, it's going to be so tough because we've heard drivers mention already a couple times when we were talking to them pre-race and just looking ourselves at practice how sensitive these cars are. For those of you viewers out there, this isn't just a modern ARCA car. This was originally a nationwide car scanned from 2009 that has lived on in iRacing and has become the current ARCA car on the service. But, Jacob, they are tough to manage at these plate tracks, very tough to make contact and very easy to spin them if you hit them the wrong way.
Well, and Blake, when you think about the old Cup cars or even those old nationwide cars, as time went on and we got later on in the 2000s, the cars would look different on the plate tracks, a little boxier front and rear ends to make it easier to try and bump draft in the pack. Well, on iRacing, we don't have that luxury. They look the same whether they're here, Las Vegas, Martinsville, it doesn't matter. They look the exact same. So when you try to push somebody, whether it's on the straightaway or in the corners, instead of really pushing your front bumper so low, you're getting underneath the rear bumper of the car in front of you, picking the rear tires up off the ground, and you've got a really good chance of spinning them out. It's an art to push in these cars. Not a lot of people have figured it out, and with this track being as bumpy as it is on the old surface, that takes away a lot of the grip that these guys would normally have. So the margin of error tonight is astronomical, just in the fact a slight incident could be all it takes for half the pack to go around.
Going to make it a real challenge for these drivers in the BST Shocks 225 for the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. Well, before we get going here in just a moment, we'll throw it down to Lonnie Claus for our invocation and John Carlos for the playing of our national anthem.
Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity that we have to participate in this event today. We thank you for the privilege to live in the United States of America, one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. We commit this event to you, and may we please you. We'll give you the thanks. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we held at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land and of the free and the home of the
Thank you very much, John and Lonnie, with our national anthem as well as our invocation for tonight. Before we get going, though, this is why this race is so important. You're going to look at the playoff standings right there for the Monday Night Racing Pro Series round of 10. This is the final race in this round. You can see those three drivers below Kenneth looking to try to get their way up. It is Colin Fern, Maxwell Kennan, Gary Sexton, some heavy hitters that are having to try and make their way up into that cut line. You can even say a little bit of a tie right there with Will Rogers in this final round.
Yeah, you're right, Blake. Big names underneath the cut line, especially Colin Fern. He was at the Championship 4 just one season ago at the Charlotte Esports Hub, and he's facing elimination from basically not being on stage this time in Season 5. And talking with ARCA, at least when he was talking about it on the Out of Glue pre-race show, he was talking about how basically no one is safe apart from Adam Cabot. That's entirely true. Even David Schildhouse with his points buffer to the 1,035 point standings that Will Rogers and Colin Fern have, there is no safety whatsoever. Anything can happen at a track like Daytona, and you can be bumped from second on the standings all the way to dead last if things don't go right. There is no safety at all. You're going to have to go 100% tonight. That's what makes things so crazy here at a track like this in this round specifically.
And again, not the first time we've been here in this playoffs. It was the Mazdas on the road course that we ran to open up these playoffs. But, of course, going to the older scan, the bumpy version of Daytona, as they like to call it on the iRacing service. But let's go ahead and rattle off our picks. Jacob, I'll have you do the honors first.
All right, well, it's pretty simple, guys. Back in November, I called a season opener. Justin Melillo won that race. It was a wild race. Melillo came through the pack and won it. I'm picking the 53 tonight. It just feels like his kind of night. It was the same track car combination then. I'm going with the 53. Justin Melillo finally breaks through, gets his first career win in Monday Night Racing.
See on the bottom of your screen there, Kenneth, you're going with George Belfans Jr.
I'm also going with a first-time winner, George Belfans Jr., of course, not in the Pro Series last season, but over the last 4 Super Speedway races, our stats tell us 3 out of those races, one of them he finished 36, but 3 of them he finished 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And that 2nd and 3rd place finishes that he had, those 2 races were at the season opener at Daytona and the next gen race at the Talladega Super Speedway. So if there's one thing for certain, it's that this 94 car knows how to weave his way through these large plate races. So I'm taking the 94 to clear way and get his first checkered flag of the season 5 schedule, and of course his first M&R win entirely.
I'm going to go ahead and just go with Ryan Vargas. Not only did he tear up some chips and salsa at Chili's yesterday, it was a great call to go there, but I just think he's due for a win, right? This is his type of place. He's always at the front of these deals, just has not quite broken through so far yet this season, but I'm going to go with Ryan Vargas. And Eric, how about James Bickford? Really interesting pick there.
Yeah, so I believe, as we were talking about before the show, I think he has maybe 1 career top 15 finish at super speedways in his MNR racing career. But yeah, I look at that as he's due, and he's in the playoffs. He's close to the bubble. I look for him to put forth his best super speedway effort to date tonight.
That's Eric Estep's pick as we'll quickly scroll through the starting grid here tonight. You could see on pole for tonight, Garrett Smithley, 50.235 is your quick time. Gary Sexton, playoff contender, looking to crawl his way in. It's great to start on the front row. See Adam Cabot, Justin Malillo will roll off third and fourth. Fifth will be Anthony Alfredo. Sixth is David Schildhouse. Colin Fern will start the seventh position alongside Robbie Lyons in eighth. It'll be Will Rogers in ninth and DJ Cummings around out the top 10, Kenneth.
Well, it's my pick, George Belfans Jr., who rolls off from 11 tonight. He has playoff driver Maxwell Kennan to his outside in P12. It'll be the 24 of Nick Olson in 13th. And your pick, Blake McCandless, Ryan Vargas in that P14 spot. He is 6th in the playoff grid going into tonight's race. Bailey Curry will be 16th, Mike Clay 7th, or rather, Bailey Curry 15th, Mike Clay 16th. It'll be Case Collenbach in 17th, joined by the 41, Matt Stolnick. Brad Perez will be in 19th, and Michael Massey in the 27 rounds out the top 20.
The rest of your grid will roll across the bottom, Blake, as the field comes past my purview here in turns 3 and 4. We're about set to go and get this cutoff race underway.
We certainly are, as the pace car in just a couple of moments will dive to the safety of the pit lane and hand over the field to Garrett Smithley, driver the number 15 out of Leganer, Pennsylvania. Green flag is out and we are racing for 90 laps here at Daytona. Up to full song they go through the tri-oval, but just about 150 miles an hour before they hit the high banks of turn 1.
It doesn't look like, Blake, there's going to be any moves made. Of course, still going through the gears. Everybody trying to build that momentum up. It feels like after the first lap is when we're really going to start to see these moves made. Still gridlocked between the 15 and the 1 coming out of turn 2. Some drivers already ducking down to the apron. They want to have nothing to do with the race right now. Jacob on the back straightaway.
And that's what some drivers have probably been planning since the drop of the green flag, or practice even. Just get out of line, drop to the back. On the plate tracks, the theory is the safest place is either at the very front or the very back. Some of those guys near the cut line may decide to go toward the back.
They certainly will, as they are 2 by 2 about the first 7 or 8 rows. You have the Chevrolet of Smithley on the bottom. Sexton charging up top at the line. Just 3/1000ths of a second separates them as they are still stacked up to turn 1.
We're still going to see this often, Blake, all night long over the 90 laps that we have here tonight in this BST Shocks 225. These guys as close as they could ever be, and that inside line, they're rumbling through the bumps already. The oscillation starting to take place will give the run to the high side. Gary Sexton, that push from the 53. Justin Malillo will get him out front for a moment.
And these two will remain side by side. It's about 15 or so cars in this lead pack. Max Kennan gets put 3 wide further in the back of this lead pack. Couple of stragglers behind him, and then a second back pack forming, couple of seconds behind.
About a car length ahead goes Garrett Smithley, as he will have control of the field. He can go high or low. He'll elect to stay on the bottom line and hold Adam Cabot at bay for the time being. So give lap 2 to the 15 of Smithley.
And you can tell, Blake, the anxiety is still here between most of the field, because you can see a lot of the green banners, a lot of these guys in the top 10, majority of them playoff drivers. And going into tonight's race, apart from that 17, they don't want to have anything awry happen here at Daytona with this specific combo, still even for the race lead on the super stretch.
Gary Sexton says that he has to be in must-win situation tonight. Well, right now, he's out in front, but not for long. Here comes Garrett Smithley back on the inside. They're still door handle to door handle coming off turn 4.
Bouncing off the bottom, there are some vicious bumps at this configuration of this racetrack that was scanned in 2007. Going to give the advantage just a little bit to that high side as Gary Sexton will poke out and take the race lead. Also want to note, Colin Fern and Will Rogers, 2 playoff contenders that are all the way at the back of the field. They elected to drop down on that opening lap, Eric, so perhaps a little bit of strategy being played here by the driver of the 55 and the 86.
And I believe my pick, James Bickford, is back there as well, which, considering his history at these types of tracks, probably not a bad choice. Yeah, I mean, we see this in real racing. There's always a handful of drivers who want to employ that ride around in the back, wait for those in front of you to make mistakes strategy. And it's really about, when do you go? When do you put that car into, turn on the nitrous, put it in 20th gear, and start making your way through the field? That's what's going to be interesting to watch as we get closer to the midway portion of this race.
Well, up front, it is still a battle they are trying to go right now. It is still Smithley and Sexton, your top 2.
At times, Sexton a better run off of turn 4, and it took him the lead into turn 1, but he's going to back out this time as Smithley will have the shorter way around the racetrack. We saw one driver, I believe, get loose and wash up the banking here at Daytona. A couple of more drivers backing off on the apron, but still side by side for the race lead.
Still side by side, and you've got a little bit of weeble wobbling back there. That's Malik Ray starting to move up the middle line. He's going to carve himself past DJ Cummings. He's going to keep on rolling. That 7 always strong on the plate tracks. He cracks the top 10 off turn 4.
Malik Ray trying to make it work in whatever line he deems fit as he tries to go up the middle 3 wide. He'll poke to the outside for just a moment on Robbie Lyons. Tucks back in line, but they are 3 wide now in the top 7.
It was Anthony Alfredo who punctured the middle there and shuffled the 53 of Justin Melillo out of line. So Melillo will have no choice but to try and find some space. Pretty much everybody in the top 20 all clustered together. They're still 3 wide coming out of turn 2. And Gary Sexton this time helped from the 23 of Anthony Alfredo.
Yellow line rule is in effect for these drivers, so they have to keep in mind that they have to stay above that yellow line if they want to make a clean pass. You can go down there to fall back. You can't go down there to advance your position. So far, so good. Smithley still leads off 4.
Not something you often see in iRacing, but definitely going to be a factor as Smithley still in the race lead. I am looking, though, at that number 7 machine of Malik Ray, looking to try to make it 3 wide on the top side of Robbie Lyons. He'll go up there to the wall as they enter turn 1.
And in turn 1, he's got some help here from the 41, Matt Stolnick. Nobody else, though, looking to join him on that very top side. Malik electing to stay patient behind the 20 of Schildhaus. He'll force the issue. Alfredo potentially looking to block, still 3 wide.
Down the back straightaway, still 3 wide as Alfredo tries to block that outside with Malik Ray. Malik Ray says, not so fast, I'm coming. He hits the wall. He gets a little sideways up on the top of the racetrack. Now he's all by himself. He's going to lose a number of spots through turns 3 and 4. Another one hits the outside wall in the middle of 3. That's Corey Heim.
Oh, Malik Ray trying to get to the front of the field as fast as possible. Nearly lost it as he was shoved into the outside retaining wall. Collects it up, but that number 7 machine going to try to go topside once again. Malik Ray, no patience here at Daytona.
Now remember, we see at Daytona and Talladega specifically, even with the next gens, a lot of checkups on the inside lanes, and Malik Ray trying to use it to his advantage, trying to play to his strengths. Alfredo and Gary Sexton, notice it, they're going to block for a little bit on the back straightaway.
You know Malik Ray's is going to try and make that outside line work as best as he can. David Schildhaus stuck in the middle. Remember, he's had a good points day these last couple of races. Pretty safely in at the moment. Still 3 wide in the middle. Balfan's down low. Malik Ray up high. Schildhaus in the middle for 5th.
Schildhaus in the middle of that sandwich and has no help, nowhere to go. Neither does Malik Ray, but that is not slowing him down. Ray up now to the fifth spot as he goes side by side with Anthony Alfredo. You have Adam Cabot on the bottom. Malik Ray may just have the lead off at turn 2.
And you know, we talk about a guy like Gary Sexton in the playoffs below the cut line, not having anything to lose. Malik Ray has no place in the points whatsoever. He's got absolutely nothing to lose here at Daytona. Some help here from the 41, and it'll help him break even 3 wide for 2nd.
Malik just looking for a win. He doesn't care about points at all, even though some of these guys with green spoilers might. There are 3 of them in his path and 1 in his rearview mirror. He's still stuck 3 wide up top. He holds on to 5th, but here comes Belfans and Schildhaus.
They are grouped up on the bottom, but Malik Ray says, I don't need any help, guys. I can still try to go to the front of the field as Smithley and Gary Sexton still exchange back and forth your race lead. Malik Ray trying to be a part of that as he nearly scrapes the safer barrier into turn 1.
He is playing with fire, and he doesn't care at all. Into turns 1 and 2, he will follow 3 wide with Schildhaus and George Balfans Jr. Feels like he's stuck back there as Alfredo and Gary Sexton look to block up high. Smithley and Sexton still door-to-door for the lead.
Alfredo won both plate races earlier on this year. He's stuck in the middle 3 wide with Malik Ray on the outside. Now here comes Stolnick. DJ Cummings hits the wall. He's okay. They're 3 by 3 coming off turn number 4 for 5th and 8th.
When they come around this time, it will put 10 laps up on the board. We still have 80 to go when they cross the stripe, but don't tell that to that number 7 machine, still trying to make that high side work. Smithley, Sexton, and Cabot, your top 3.
Malik is still going to stay high in a 1 and 2 on Anthony Alfredo, the two sim seats machines. And what I noticed is that most of the guys are on the top 15. They've kind of simmered through. They saw that 3-wide action and said, no way, Jose, I'm not dealing with this at all. You look at guys like Corey Heim, Bailey Turner, Mike Clay, all looking to stay single file and get out of the mayhem.
And Robbie Lyons joins them as well. He bails out of line a little too early for him to be making those aggressive moves. And now things have settled down at the front of the field. Back to double wide. Garrett Smithley clear out in front. Then it's the Adam Cabot and Gary Sexton side by side for second.
And now Cabot going to move his way up into the top line and try to get a piece of the race lead himself. Down to the stripe. Give it to Adam Cabot. A big run out of that number 17 machine. Sexton perhaps thought of shoving it up the middle, but Cabot to the point.
And into turn 1, Gary Sexton helping his Cabot Esports teammate. The only missing piece here is the 5 of Bailey Turner. Remember, Adam Cabot, of course, locked into the round of 7. Gary Sexton definitely not. Still even for the race lead. Adam Cabot looking to take it away from Smithley, but not successful just yet. Here comes Vargas 3 wide.
Vargas got a little squirrely coming up off turn number 2, and he's going to go to the inside 3 wide. He's got his teammate Bailey Turner behind him, and he will try and push that number 6 Valvoline-looking machine to the front of the field. Still side by side for the lead.
Vargas on the bottom, then you have Belfens in the middle, and then you have up all the way on the top side trying to make it work. That number 1 of Gary Sexton. Cabot clear to the lead right now. They are 3 wide for second, and they're 2 by 2 for fifth.
And they're still 3 wide, the 2 Crypto Autosport teammates working that third line again. The 41 of Matt Stolnick, he's a previous winner at Daytona. The 10 of DJ Cummings, he's done rather well at the super speedways in previous history. And now add in Corey Heim in at 78, so that third line slowly creeping up on the back straightaway.
3 wide, still 3 wide, pretty deep back there. Now Gary Sexton stuck in it. Here comes DJ Cummings up the middle. George Belfens Jr. pokes his head to the outside. He'll lead that top side 3 wide. It's still Cabot and Smithley side by side for the lead.
Interested to see where Malik Ray goes here as he runs in position number 4 behind Adam Cabot. Cabot going to lead him to the stripe. Garrett Smithley has still led the inside line. He has drafting help from Ryan Vargas behind him. Up top, though, oh, Cabot into the fence. Malik Ray, somehow they save it, and now DJ Cummings is going to go around. Caution flag is out on lap number 14. You have DJ Cummings, Gary Sexton, Joshua Slade, and a couple of others wrapped up in all that mayhem that started at the front of the field, Kenneth.
There were 3 wide, and it was just a scuffle there between Malik Ray and Adam Cabot. That was on the outside, pushing for the lead. You watch the bobble right about here. Gives the push to the 17. He travels up the track. He takes Malik with him, and then as they're packing in to get away from all of it, DJ Cummings gets hit from the rear by his own teammate, Bailey Kerner, David Schildhouse, Corey Heim, Gabe Wood, Gary Sexton, all of them getting caught up in the mess. And this, frankly, Blake, was what everyone was fearing at a combo like this in the middle of the playoffs. A huge wreck at lap 15.
You can see another look on board right there. That is David Schildhouse. Have to imagine that there's a little bit of damage. You don't see it visibly, but perhaps I think under the hood is where that 20 would be slowed down, if any. And Eric, I know we came into today, we knew this was a long race, 225 miles in the BST Shocks 225 tonight, but yet this is lap 15, and they are just, there is no patience here.
Yeah, they were trying to do this for about 14 laps until things finally unraveled. This is what happens when you have a mix of playoff drivers who are on various schedules themselves. Adam Cabot's just racing for a win. He's not racing for points, but you have others racing for points. You have other either part-time racers in this series or drivers that just aren't part of the playoff picture who are just racing for glory. They're out there having fun on a Monday night, trying to put on a show for everyone watching on YouTube and on Twitch. So you get those different schedules, different senses of urgency, and that's what leads to big pileups and big wrecks like this. But a few heavyweights in early trouble. This feels good, though, for my pick, James Bickford. He rode around, and I believe he avoided this crash.
Well, again, you want to be at the front as long as you're not wrapped up in that. I think is the way you want to play it, is you will see most of the field make their way down onto pit road here on lap number 16. Caution flag number 1 in the BST Shocks 225. This final race of the round of 10 for the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. As we work along here, you can get a nice shot of that scanned Nationwide nationwide car that has since been converted to an ARCA car of Garrett Smithley. You can see fuel only is likely the call for that number 15. Tires likely not going to be a factor at any point tonight because, well, it's Daytona. It shouldn't come into play all too much, or at least this early on in the run. So you'll see Smithley, the first car off of pit road. He brings along Ryan Vargas in second place with him off of the pit lane. I want to take this time to remind you that Interstate Batteries, they are built to top industry standards and has been the technician's choice for 9 years and counting. Powered by a distributor network of 300 wholesale warehouses and backed up by more than 150,000 dealers around the world, as well as 200 all Battery Center franchise stores, Interstate seeks to deliver the most trustworthy source of power to the world every single day. Interstate Batteries, outrageously dependable. We appreciate their support of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries. So glad that you could join us here for the virtual Daytona International Speedway. Blake McCandless, Kenneth Bueno, Jacob Hitz, and Eric Estep on the call for you here tonight as we are slowed by our first caution flag of the evening early on in this one, and what is sure to be a fun race going forward. You can see right there, I believe one driver headed on to pit road. That is Corey Heim, who missed his pit stall. He left Jacob with the race lead off the pit road, but did not pit. So he'll have to go to the back once he now comes down and finally gets service.
Yeah, so he tried to make it onto pit road, and, well, he did make it onto pit road. He just missed his box while everybody was making their way to their boxes. It's difficult for these guys to pit when there are that many cars around it. Plus, in sim tonight, Corey Heim is in a different number. He's in as the 78. It even shows 78 on the door of his race car. I think that's why he was a little thrown off, because he's running a number that he's not used to. So he sees the 78. He keeps on driving. He's looking for that 51 that he's familiar with here in Monday Night Racing. So I think that's why Heim missed his box. He'll pit now, take service, and will restart at the tail end of the field.
The one thing I'm curious to kind of note is how long we can go on fuel on a full green flag run. Now they have had the they have had the wherewithal to kind of shorten the fuel tank, or at least you have the customization within iRacing to limit the amount of fuel that can be added to these race cars. It is typically 18.7 gallons is the maximum that this car can hold. It looks like tonight for the fuel cell, it is 14 gallons that can be held. So it's probably, what, in the 30s or so, I would say. You get a good look at the in-race analysis right there that kind of explains everything. So we will see if that'll come into play with what will be just under 75 laps to go here at Daytona. Barney the flagman, you can see green flag in the air, and very quickly Garrett Smithley shoots out to the lead. Vargas will fall in line in second. Adam Cabot will round out your top three as they head to the banking of turn number one.
In turn one, already a change of pace on behalf of our last start, which was our green flag to start this BC Shocks 225. Already some more patience, but maybe not so for the 6 of Ryan Vargas, already shooting up high. He's got help from Max Kennan in the 21. So Ryan Vargas out of La Mirada, California, looking for the lead on the back straightaway.
And you know that Vargas is looking for a win. It was a win that got himself into the championship 4 a season ago. He wants to get that momentum rolling, and he wants to start it now. Garrett Smithley, not in the playoffs. He still leads in the bottom, coming off turn 4.
You think of two drivers that have been at JD Motorsports at one time or another between Garrett Smithley and Ryan Vargas. Give it by just a nose to Ryan Vargas at the line. He's got Maxwell Kennan. First time we've seen him up front tonight.
Well, you talk about JD Motorsports and their affiliation with Smithley and Vargas. How about the 05 Bailey Curry, another JD Motorsports driver? He's made his way into the top 6 after starting 15th tonight. A couple more drivers duck underneath the apron to get out of harm's way. But as you ride on board with Kennan, he's pushing Vargas still to the race lead.
One car really off the pace down the back straightaway. He went way up the hill in turn number 2. It's Case Kallenbach. He's got it rolling. He's still trying to hang on to the pack. Significantly off the pace as the field rockets through 3 and 4. Still side by side for the lead.
I'll just round out this JD Motorsports segment with Gabe Wood, who was just on the outskirts of the top 10. He's that orange car that is directly behind the blue number 20 of David Schildhouse as he runs on the top side of the racetrack. They still are side by side through your first 5 rows.
You know, as we're talking about the JD Motorsports camp, we also need to talk about teammates and how vital they're going to be at these super speedway races. I don't believe we've seen them in full force quite yet, Blake, but teams are a big thing. Working together with drivers is instrumental in success, so we'll see how far that works through tonight.
You always need help when you come to the plate tracks, people that you know you can work well with, and sometimes, especially early on, you want them with you. Toward the end, it's a free-for-all. Right now, Ryan Vargas, a lot of friendly folks in his mirror, still can't get by Smithley on the outside.
You can see them stacking up, that they kind of stagnate with the lack of an ability to push these cars. As you see Vargas once again utilizing that middle to high line. He'll have the lead over Garrett Smithley side by side into turn number 1.
And still a staggered formation. Nobody really getting an edge here back to turn 1 or maybe out of turn 2. A little bit of an opportunity to side draft there for the 6 Ryan Vargas. 21 of Kennan still going to give him the push. And just like the opening run of the race, we're still gridlocked for the race lead.
Still side by side, Adam Cabot back up in the thick of it. He was involved in that first caution. It did not take him long, though, to get back up to the front of the field. He sits in 4th, second on that inside line as they make their way through turns 3 and 4.
Still 2 by 2. You have to wonder when somebody will try to make their way up to that 3rd line. Smithley on the bottom, Vargas still behind them. You have Adam Cabot, Maxwell Kennan. Then kick it back to that 3rd row. You talk about Bailey Curry as well as Anthony Alfredo trying to push their lines along.
And that big wreck as they sail for turn 1 once again, still side by side for the race lead. It opened the door for a lot of guys to enter the top 10, top 15, and frankly push themselves to the forefront of this conversation as they rise out of turn 2. They're 3 wide back there. Malik Ray trying to make that 3rd line happen, but Vargas and Smithley still even on the super stretch.
Charlie Brown drops down to the bottom. He's going to give up a couple of spots and try and get out of this hornet's nest. He thinks they're getting maybe just a little bit too aggressive. Garrett Smithley clear for the lead once again, but that outside line will try and mount a charge coming off turn 4.
Just under 70 laps to go here at the Daytona International Speedway, and the temperature's been turned up pretty much since the get-go, the drop of the green flag. Once again, Vargas will click off another lap led here at Daytona. Maxwell Kennan and Anthony Alfredo doing a great job pushing that 6 car.
And some separation here on the inside line. Blake, the 17 of Adam Cabot, not necessarily getting a full mirror full of the 05 of Bailey Curry. Again, the testament to the anxiety a lot of guys have here tonight. Kennan floats up high off the banking, but Smithley clear ahead for the lead with the 17 to push.
Watch out for George Belfans Jr. on the bottom, 4th in line. He is the highest guy on the racetrack right now that has already used that faster pair, so he's on very thin ice. Got eliminated from the playoffs after that first round, so points not a problem for him. He's trying to mount a charge and get his first win.
Trying to do just that is I'll bring Eric in. I don't want to point anything out poorly, Eric, but I'm noticing right now, I'm looking at the running, or at least the leaderboard, and I'm looking at your pick, and right now, James Bickford in 35th out of 35 cars, way off the pack. Not quite sure what happened to that 29, but unfortunately not faring too well for him at the moment.
He's playing the long game. This is called dramatic effect. This is he's a storyteller. We all want to be storytellers. He's just doing a great job. Now, very interesting early on, though. You see this pack. We're riding on board with James Bickford right now. There's about 4 of them hanging back there. I think, based on their experience, they don't expect the carnage to be over just yet. Like I talked about earlier, there will come a point where you got to go, regardless of if you've used your fast repair or not, regardless of whether or not it's a hornet's nest in front of you. But right now, I think it's safe to just bide your time.
Well, they're hoping it gets a little contested up front here as they ride 25 seconds off of the lead pack. You have to wonder if they have enough draft to get some speed and not go a lap down. But right now, Smithley Vargas leading them into turn 1.
Yeah, it's the last thing you want, Blake, if you're the guys hanging in the back. You don't want to get lapped, and you don't want to be forced to your hand if this race goes into green flag pit stops. We've seen that happen a lot between drivers stuck in the back of the field. Malik trying to make it 3 wide again in the back, but still Garrett Smithley and Ryan Vargas for the lead.
Note the points on the right of your screen. 3 points between Will Rogers and the 1 of Gary Sexton. That's last place and the cutoff line right now. Just 3 points covering those last 3.
Well, and you see a lot of those drivers beneath right now. Fern, Bickford, trying to play that long game, that long strategy. Rogers as well running in the 30th spot. So at least for the moment, those drivers on the outside being really conservative at the moment.
It's quite the opposite here, Blake, to the attitude that we've seen Colin Fern employ for a lot of super speedway races. Normally, you'd see him at the front of the field being as aggressive as possible, but maybe he's a little uncomfortable going into this round, specifically in the point standings below the cut line, so he's hanging back in 28th.
And those points are going to keep shuffling lap after lap. You have to keep that in mind as well, as they're so packed together. 3 wide going into turn number 3. Preston Pardus on the bottom. Matt Stolnick up top. Corey Heim in the middle. That's around the 12th and 13th position. Still 3 wide off turn 4.
Oh, and they nearly got to the outside wall there. As you see, that third lane started to gain some steam with Matt Stolnick and Malik Ray trying to make it work. They'll cross the stripe this time. Stolnick will go 3 wide now with Bell fans in Shieldhouse, and that 41 car is rolling.
And this is another time again in turn 1 where it's Matt Stolnick and Malik Ray working together on the third line. They've got a third car in there. That's the 78 of Corey Heim. So bring that black and yellow machine up to that third lane. How many cars notice? 4 on the outside. They decide to block on the back straightaway.
Here they come down the back straightaway, headed to turn number 3. Still 3 wide. David Shieldhouse in the middle. He's now going to look to try and drop to the bottom in front of DJ Cummings, and he can do so without a problem. Corey Heim still stuck in the middle, though. Malik Ray and Matt Stolnick on the outside. Cummings and Shieldhouse on the bottom off turn number 4.
Oh, and one car nearly into the outside wall. He was mere inches off of it. That was Joshua Slate running in 7th. Corey Heim going to take advantage as he squeezes just through Slate. Corey Heim now up to 7th.
And Slate there was running 3rd on the outside, or rather 4th on the outside lane, deciding to block with Alfredo, Max Kennan, and Ryan Vargas. He gets shuffled out of line. Fortunately, he finds some space in that second groove, so keep him there for the moment inside your top 10. Meanwhile, Vargas still trying to get over Smithly and can't do it.
Here they come down the back straightaway, still double wide up at the front of the field. Ryan Vargas just trying to hold on there as they make their way through turns 3 and 4. Preston Pardus clears himself for Stolnick to get himself on the doorstep at the top 10.
Stolnick hit the wall entering turn 3, but it did not upset him enough to send him back down into traffic, although he'll lose a couple of spots out of it. Now here comes Corey Heim to the outside of Anthony Alfredo, trying to make that third line work as they are inches off each other riding into the corner.
The question is, does anyone go with the 78? No, Malik Ray is. He's a couple of car lengths back. There's nobody trying to assist Heim at the very top of the racetrack. They are still side by side, about 3 rows deep. Here comes Heim, 3 wide with Alfredo.
He's a man on a mission. He's got a superhero cape on, roaring up that outside line. Nobody wants to go with him. He's made himself a lane up into the top 5. He's on the outside of Alfredo and a Max Kennan. It's still Garrett Smithly. Now here comes Pardus. He'll jump to the outside off turn 4. Heim bounces off the wall. He holds on.
Heim an incredible amount of car control to get into the wall and not get back down into traffic. He's going to lose about 6 spots as a result, but they are still 2 wide up front.
Yeah, Heim going to lose a lot of spots in turn 1, so that'll open the door for New Smyrna Beach, Florida's Preston Pardus, P Money in the 42, somewhat of a hometown driver here at the Daytona International Speedway. He'll have help from the 41, but the 41 will choose the third lane. Malik Ray going to follow with him.
Those two just talked over the radio. Malik Ray said, Matt, I'm ready. Let's go do this. They jump to the outside 3 wide. Now Malik Ray goes back down to the middle line. He doesn't think they've got much of a shot. Anthony Alfredo kind of peeking up there trying to block the spot, but still, it's all Garrett Smithly off turn 4.
Well, the pot is boiling, and it is starting to overflow as they'll cross the stripe this time. It'll be 50 laps to go, 60 laps to go, rather, here at the Daytona International Speedway, and Matt Stolnick has run out of patience once again on the top side with Malik Ray.
And you have to wonder whether the anxiety has toned down or whether it is still tensious across the entire field, because they're comfortably running 3 wide. We've had some close moments, but fortunately we stayed green. Alfredo has been one of the more notable ones to take charge on the outside, and here it comes, 3 wide for 3rd.
Trying to sweep the races here at Daytona. Top 3 when we were here on the road course. He won when we were on the oval back in May. Here he comes on the outside leading the charge, but he's going to get abandoned up there. Stolnick to Malik Ray, drop back to the middle off turn 4.
Alfredo said, I'll go with you, Matt. Stolnick said, guess what? I'm going to pull the rug out from underneath you as Alfredo will fall back with no help there on the top side. Stolnick will try to move up the middle, but Alfredo all by his lonesome in that 3rd lane.
But Alfredo is going to have some chance here, at least to keep himself with the rest of the field. We've seen how strong that 3rd lane is, even with just 1 car up there. We talk about strength in numbers. Here it looks like it's quite the opposite. Alfredo staying up top. He'll be 3 wide for that 3rd spot. Alfredo Smithly still even on the super stretch.
Malik Ray going to peek out of line. He's going to go 3 wide around Stalnick and George Belfans Jr. Perhaps trying to reunite the SimSeats machines up on the outside of the racetrack. They almost are together coming off turn number 4. It's still Smithley out in front.
You can see on the right-hand side of your screen this playoff picture changing lap by lap as a tandem of SimSeats Chevrolets will try to make the charge up to the top side. Alfredo on the outside. Alfredo looking for the lead into turn number 1.
3 wide for the lead in the first corner at Daytona. The first time we see that third lane get headway for the race lead. Vargas stuck in the middle with absolutely nowhere to go. Smithley trying to manage through the bumps. It's Alfredo nosing ahead. New race leader from Daytona.
Let's see how long he can hold it. That inside line has been the quickest with Garrett Smithley and Adam Cabot working together on the bottom. Still 3 wide. Now 9 cars under a blanket. All 3 wide. Bailey Curry catches the apron. They'll keep it together coming off turn 4. Smithley back out in front. Vargas tries to clear the outside.
Alfredo will hold his own. They are 3 wide for first. They are 3 wide for fourth. They are 3 wide for 7th. Anthony Alfredo to the point at the stripe, and he may be clear of Vargas as they hit the banking.
2 SimSeats cars, and then Corey Heim. They made some contact there. The 42 Preston Pardis got a hip check. It's going to slow them down. Alfredo will block the 21 of Max Kennan, so bring him to that second line. Ryan Vargas clears ahead of the 15 for the race lead. Still 3 wide, though, with Alfredo commanding the charge.
A lap ago, Preston Pardis was blinking. I think that was the source of that contact there. Some connection issues for the 42. Meanwhile, it's slimmed out for the lead. They're still 3 wide for the 4th position. Cabot on the inside, Cannon in the middle, Malik Ray up top as they come off turn 4.
Alfredo's trying to play Dale Earnhardt Jr. right now as he blocks the middle, then goes to the top and blocks that as well. He'll stick to the middle with Maxwell Kinnan, nets him the race lead as they work through the tri-oval. Now Malik Ray to the outside. It's going to be 3 wide once again for the top spot.
And now I wonder, Blake, whether the no-tire call by a majority of the field is going to pay off as we're 35 laps into this 90-lap race at Daytona. The bumps are wretched on these tires with this car that doesn't really have a lot of downforce, so how much will the tires give before they end up breaking off?
We'll just have to wait and see, but you're right, Kenneth. As the race continues to go on and we stay under green longer and longer, the moves that these guys make, they'll stay as aggressive, but they won't have the grip under them, and that could really cause chaos. It's still Ryan Vargas leading off turn 4, 3 wide behind.
Vargas really tight there on the bottom as he runs the very bottom. Alfredo in the middle, Malik Ray up top. It is Alfredo by a nose at the stripe. Then you have Smithley, Kinnan, and Corey Heim 3 wide behind him.
Still 3 wide for the lead into turn 1. You gotta love the scenario here. Vargas a playoff driver, Smithley not. They're both working together. 2 playoff drivers in Alfredo and Kennan working together in the middle. And the 2 guys who have been spoiling this season since the drop of the green in the Sunrise 500 looking for the lead all at once.
They have accordion back together again. 3 wide for the lead. Malik Ray up on the outside with the run with Corey Heim. Alfredo in the middle. Vargas down on the bottom. Vargas with the run. That bottom side has been king. Leaning on each other. Max Cannon and Garrett Smithley. They make it work. Vargas edges out ahead off turn 4.
Oh, Cabot got in the back of Garrett Smithley, but did not upset that 15. That's going to check up that inside line. Move Malik Ray now to the point here at Daytona. Alfredo trying to make a charge through the middle to get it back.
We'll see if anyone goes up to that third lane. We've seen at max maybe 4 cars up there, but that's been about it. It's been 2 up at the top ever since with Heim and Malik Ray. They haven't made much progress apart from being 3 wide for the race lead. They'll have the run out of turn 2, but it's Alfredo in the middle up front.
Here comes Malik Ray, that outside line surging ahead once again. We'll see that 6 surge back on the bottom through 3 and 4. Malik Ray pokes the nose out in front. Here come the 23 and the 6 back on the bottom. Keep in mind on that pack in the back, including James Bickford, they are in severe danger of getting lapped by the race leaders.
Yes, they are. They are losing a lot of time, as despite the fact that they are 3 wide, lap by lap for the race lead, they are making some good time. That's got to be a concern. I'm sure they're hoping that they mess it up. Malik Ray trying to do just that to turn 1.
And finally, Blake, they had a 3rd car join them in the 42 of Preston Pardis, but he tags the outside wall, so he's out of the conversation. Top 16, all wrapped under a blanket. 1 second between 1st and 16th. Side by side for the lead, Malik Ray pushes ahead.
The lap car said they're going to hold the bottom, so everybody on the bottom and in the middle might have to panic by the time they get to those lap cars. Malik Ray pokes his nose out front. Alfredo surges back ahead. Now here comes Vargas on the bottom as the field comes off turn number 4, and Schildhouse almost gets turned by a car.
Oh man, they are stacked up 3 by 3 by 3 here at the front of the field with lap traffic just beyond them. They're catching them about a second a lap, so give it about 10 more laps. They'll be right in the midst of it.
Preston Pardus gave a tug to the outside wall. Again, Max Kennan almost side draft the 6 into the outside wall. If that went awry, David Schildhouse not pushing his luck right now. He's staying in the back, and Garrett Smithley is going to push out a line on the apron.
Garrett had enough. He's going to drop to the back, and I think that's food for thought when they get to the lappers. He wants to get out of the way, get off the bottom, get somewhere where he will not get run over. Smith gets turned, almost by Kennan. Now Vargas gets turned. Around goes Josh Slade up into the outside wall. George Belfitz Jr. is around. Bailey Curry piles in. Now Gary Sexton gets a piece of it as well as a multi-car crash in turns 3 and 4 as the lead pack couldn't keep it together any longer, and more trouble for Gary Sexton, who has damage, a lot of damage on the front of that race car. He has not used his fast repair yet. That is the only thing good about that crash for Sexton, is he's doing all right.
That was all started by a late block thrown by Anthony Alfredo as he tried to shut the door on Maxwell Kennan at the last moment. Kennan got into him. Alfredo saved it. You're going to see it right here. This is off the back bumper of Anthony Alfredo as he tries to drift down. You can see they're 3 wide behind them. Ryan Vargas gets run into by Joshua Slate. That sets off a chain reaction, and a lot of drivers around that 10th spot get wrapped up in this one, and what ends up being about a 5-car crash in turn 3. We'll look on board from Gary Sexton one more time.
Yeah, Sexton has the advantage of being so far behind, but he can't predict where the field is going, and right here, Slate just slides in front of him. Sexton practically with nowhere to go at his rate of speed, and he gets a slight bump. I don't think it's enough damage to constitute the usage of a fast repair or certainly call his race over by any stretch of the imagination. But remember, Sexton came into tonight's race dead last in the round of 10, 5 points below that sacred cut line for the top 7. So 2 incidents in the opening 40 for that one car is not a good sign at all.
No, it is not. As you'll see the field start to come down to pit road, it's been roughly just shy of 30 laps since the last time they came down. You imagine if tires were to ever be taken in this race, it would probably be around this portion of the race. You see Garrett Smithley, who came on by, he predicted that. You know, we talk about Denny Hamlin sometimes, Eric, that he has that 6th sense or so that, you know, he kind of senses when the pack's about to break apart. Well, Smithley let off, and the next corner, they wadded him up. I'd say that's a pretty good 6th sense there from Garrett Smithley.
Absolutely, and honestly, Smithley backing out is what sort of hurt the inside lane's momentum and even gave Anthony Alfredo in the 23 a chance to clear the bottom lane from the middle there. But no, I'm surprised they've gone as long as they've gone without completely wadding it up front. I was talking to the chat about that could have been a whole lot worse. Like Gary Sexton, I think the only playoff driver to sustain any notable damage in that crash, when a couple of playoff drivers were the ones who really started it. So could have been a whole lot worse, all things considered, Blake.
And a couple of differing strategies here on pit road. Kenneth, couple of 2 tires, a couple of 4 tire takers. So some split in strategy here at we're about the halfway portion.
And we figured that a good amount of the field would at least take some form of tires at this point of the race. Now that we're 41 laps in, we're approaching halfway, and they've gotten this run so long on those set of Goodyear Eagles. So why not waste a set now? And we've seen the field get stricken by the bumps, especially at the bottom end of the racetrack. Here at this old surface and the Daytona International Speedway, the high side is a little smoothened out, still has the bumps, but that inside line is really where the bumps oscillate the car at its highest level. So a lot of guys utilizing the right side tire call to make sure that they don't really drift up the racetrack if they end up going so fast in the corner in the middle, like we saw 3 wide for the race lead and even spots further behind. So I like this call. 2 tires by some, but interestingly enough, a lot of guys just rather be safe than sorry. 4 tires for a lot of them, including former race leader Garrett Smithley.
And while we were slowed by the second caution flag of the evening here in the BST Shocks 225 at the Daytona International Speedway, we'd like to remind you about Next Level Racing, and that Next Level Racing is proud to partner with Monday Night Racing. Founded in 2009, Next Level Racing is the world's leading simulation brand, revolutionizing sim racing with its industry-leading product range. Visit nextlevelracing.com. Again, that is nextlevelracing.com for more information. We're proud to partner with them here at Monday Night Racing to see what the future holds. As you can see the field working its way down the Daytona Super Stretch, lap 42 of this 90-lap affair at the World Center of Racing. The older configuration with some ARCA cars that have been on the sim for a very long time, and this version of the Daytona International Speedway is been around just as long as this sim has been in play. One of the favorites of many drivers who love this old characteristic of Daytona that is preserved and is very unique. Provides such great racing like you saw in the mid-2000s. As we will give way to the pace car, Anthony Alfredo out of Connecticut will get us started, and we'll tune into some spotter audio as we get restarted here at Daytona.
Got a little bit of a run here on the outside. They're 3x3x3, just ahead of you here on the bottom. Clear. No run coming. It's all windshield. See what you got. You got the run? 95 by the door. Wall strike at the wall. They're still on their feet. You're clear. Run coming on the outside. It's 42.
You can see the eyes of Gary Sexton looking up in the mirror as he has a whole lot happening in front of him. 3 wide once again for the lead. Showhouse, Alfredo, Malik Ray duking it out at the front of the field.
Well, as soon as Barney the flagman waved that green, Blake, going into turn 1, Malik wasted absolutely no time to say, hey, let's go back up to the front. And he's got Garrett Smithley to help now, a third car in it, maybe a fourth. Ryan Vargas, Preston Partis to give chase. Malik Ray to the race lead on the super stretch.
Here comes Malik Ray for the lead. Garrett Smithley to help him. The restart is under review now. Josh Mendoza says the restart's all good. Malik Ray clear for the lead. Anthony Alfredo trying to clear for second on Shieldhouse. He can't quite do it. The 2 SimSeats cars lead off 4.
Well, and Alfredo looking for a way around Malik Ray. He'll look to the top side, and he's able to get there. Malik Ray will settle to defend in the middle, and he has playoff drivers on either end of him. Showhouse on the bottom, Alfredo on the top, looking to lock their way into the round of 7.
And watch David Shieldhouse here. He locked himself into this round of 10 via the win at Daytona with the MX-5s. And now here he is looking for the lead on the bumps at a turn 2. The run will fall to the wayside to Malik Ray with the help from the 17. So Malik Ray holds control still.
Look at that 78 of Corey Heim. He jumped to the outside, that third line, to try and pick up Garrett Smithley. Garrett's just going to fall all the way back, so Heim will drop to the middle, so will Preston Partis. Alfredo does the same on the outside. Malik Ray leads the charge off 4.
Ray will go now to the bottom side. He'll allow Adam Cabot to build up a little bit of momentum there in the center. The playoff battle still raging on as Colin Fern has now moved his way further up. He's running in the 15th spot, so some of those conservative strategies starting to fall to the wayside here as we hit the halfway point.
Are we going to reference, Eric, the long game here at this point in time? Because Colin Fern, I think, is starting to utilize it to his advantage now that we're already crossing the halfway mark of tonight's BST Shocks 225. Colin Fern moving to the top 13.
And James Bickford briefly up to the top 20 as well. Sorry about that, Jacob. Yeah, no, side by side up front, but some of those guys that were up front or in the back early on slowly starting to work their way forward as we hit halfway.
Off at turn number 4, Malik Ray will still hold the race lead, but what a charge, what a run up the top side. You have Corey Heim, Preston Partis, shot out of a cannon that looks like Heim may clear him into turn number 1, and he does.
And the first time we see the 42, Preston Pardis now working second behind. Now your race leader, Corey Heim, to the front. We've seen him be a spoiler so many times in Season 5, and he's doing it all over again. Still 3 wide for the race lead on the back straightaway.
He has won twice this season. He's trying to go to the victory lane for the 3rd time this season. He only started about halfway through. Cabot in the middle, still stuck. Here comes Malik Ray back on the bottom. He's back in front for the lead, but they're 3 wide solid for second on back.
Well, a couple of cars got tight there off at turn number 4. Ryan Vargas had to back out to not hit the outside wall. He'll try to find refuge in the middle line, while Heim and Pardis still just 2 cars trying to make the top side work as Ray and Showhouse fight back on the bottom.
And it hurts here now. I questioned the call for no tires earlier on tonight. Bailey Turner, he kind of skipped up the racetrack and it almost made contact with himself and the 10 of DJ Cummings and floated him out of the battle, or at least behind the 21 of Max Kennan. They're going to check up an accordion once again as Malik Ray holds charge in the middle.
He goes to the middle, but here comes Heim with a big run on the outside. Heim comes down to the bottom and barely holds on to that spot from David Schildhouse. He's lucky he had room behind for Max Kennan so he could get off the throttle. Here comes that 78 up on the high side, but it's all the 7 of Malik Ray off turn 4.
Oh, and here comes Adam Cabot, not content to ride behind Malik Ray, and he will clear into the lead for the moment, and now he has control of whichever lane he wants to block. So Adam Cabot now your race leader at Daytona.
Well, as they chase for turn 1, Blake, now he has no one to block because he's stuck in the middle, 3 wide, give the advantage to the TobyChristie.com Xyloware machine of Schildhouse. Cabot trying to side draft as much as he can, and he almost makes contact with the 20. Heim trying to hold strong on the outside, but can't quite get to the lead.
Here they come down the back straightaway. A great run for Cabot. Heim is flying, and now Cabot gets turned off the bumper of Schildhouse. Down into the grass goes the 17 of Adam Cabot, your winner a week ago. He has fallen way back. He keeps it straight in the grass as they're 3 wide for the lead off turn 4.
No caution flag as he kept it down in the grass, and he just threw a block that was a little too late. Wasn't quite clear. Corey Heim now to the top spot at Daytona as Cabot lucky, I'm sure now, Kenneth, that he has a win.
Very, very lucky. If he was not locked into that round of 7, next week out, he would have been in a myriad of trouble going into next week. Now out of turn 2, the 3 wide fight stifles for just a moment. It'll reignite on the back straightaway. Corey Heim against Malik Ray for P1.
They'll try 3 wide once again as Malik Ray trying to get in front of Schildhouse. He can't quite do it. He's stuck in the middle. You've got Heim on the outside, Schildhouse on the bottom, 3 wide behind him as well with Kennan, Cummings, and Preston Pardis as the field comes off turn 4. Schildhouse clear for the lead.
And Schildhouse content to ride along the bottom. He's in a good point situation, and even if he doesn't have the lead, you'd imagine he's not going to make any risky moves right now to try to block Ray and Corey Heim trying to mount a charge on his outside.
If there's anything you'd want to do, Blake, as a playoff driver in David Schildhouse's position, Blake, is just to offer yourself more insurance. Yes, he's not really risking anything right now, and yes, he doesn't need to be in the race lead, but being here certainly helps, and that goes the same for the 21 of Max Kennan, who's on the opposite side of the page, underneath the cut line going into tonight, and he's riding in the top 5.
So far, so good. How about Presley Sora? We thought he was an early championship contender. He is 1 point out right now as far as points concerned. Same thing with Gary Sexton. Gary is clinging on to this lead pack as they're still 3 wide coming off turn 4.
And way behind this field, Jacob, it is Presley Sora, 23 seconds behind your race leaders. He has 1 car to draft with in Mike Clay, so Sora siphoning time. And again, he can't find that point. There's no one around him for him to pass, so Sora 1 point out. He needs this field to crash.
Certainly needs something huge to happen as he's riding along with Clay and maybe even Adam Cabot there. They're still 3 wide for the lead on the super stretch going to turn 3.
Here they come down to the turn number 3, still 3 by 3 for the top spot. Then you got Anthony Alfredo and Bailey Curry side by side behind. Then you've got Ryan Vargas on the outside. Noah Lewis, first time we've said his name tonight. He's cracked the top 10 down there on the bottom.
Noah Lewis right there, that 3rd car on the inside line. You have Schildhouse, Kennan, and Lewis now working that bottom. Still stacked up 3 wide for your first 2 rows. Corey Heim and Pardis have not given up their fight on the top.
And as they enter turn 1, 5 out of the top 10 drivers started deep within this field. Your leader started 24th. Corey Heim started 30th. Preston Pardis started 28th. 27th on the starting grid for Bailey Turner. 33rd.
Oh, they're crashing! Corey Heim into the wall! Preston Pardus, I think, got the wall as well. They scatter down the back straightaway. People in the grass. Now they're 3 wide. Malik Ray and Anthony Alfredo trying to hold off David Schildhouse. That doesn't work. Heim just put another car into the outside wall. That's George Belfans Jr. He holds it up there and almost comes down into traffic. The big one almost, but they hold on as the field comes down the front straightaway.
And again, that was some aggressive bump drafting as we'll take one more look on your replay. Look at the 42 get up under Corey Heim. They scatter a couple of cars into the grass, but nobody goes around. Great call by Race Control to keep this race under the green flag once again. You can see Heim squeezes Belfans Jr. into the outside retaining wall as he also hangs on to it. So no issues here. It has since scattered this pack up front. There was about 15 cars. You can see it has dwindled down to about just 8 or 9 at the front of the field. Has not hurt a many number of your front runners. You have Malik Ray, Anthony Alfredo, a couple of Sim Seats Chevrolets that will duke it out at the front, and I think that highlights how difficult it is to push in these cars as it's Ray and Alfredo, your top two.
How difficult, Blake, or how impossible? These bumpers don't line up at all on the ARCA cars here in the sim, and that was just a mistake there. Preston Pardus just got a little bit too close to Corey Heim, sent him in the outside wall. Fortunately, we stayed green, but with that incident scattering the field, guess who that helps? Colin Fern. He's got a couple of points above that cut line. He's moved into the top 12.
Here they come down the back straightaway. Corey Heim just said he has a meatball flag. I think that was part of the reason he couldn't turn there after the crash, was that contact to the outside wall. They will either have to clear that or he's going to have to come onto pit road and fix the damage. They only give him a certain amount of time. He's in the middle of the pack off 4.
We'll see if he comes down this time. He'll elect not to, as, oh boy, they are tight up at the front of the field. Maxwell Kinnon all up into the trunk of Anthony Alfredo. Lap 56 and 90, time's running low.
And as they head for turn 1, they're going to approach on some lap traffic. That's the 11 of Steve Alfont you're riding on board with here at a turn 2. I think he's going to be able to hold on underneath the apron and let the field by. Indeed, he will. So a clean move here by the 11. Malik Ray will try to use some of the draft at least a little bit. And now as he goes for turn 3, he's looking for the lead.
3 wide almost for the lead. Here comes Vargas on the outside trying to make a charge. He's got help from Joshua Slate, who was involved in a crash early on. You've got the Sim Seats cars still out in front, 1 and 2.
Now Vargas trying to get up to the top as Alfredo throws the block. Contact made. Vargas down and into Kinnon. They touch once again out of the tri-oval. No issues here. Vargas able to hang on. A lot of contact there.
And I saw spewing flames going into the trial from the 01 of Josh Slate. He saw how risky of a situation it was and back out of the throttle. Vargas, though, going to lose out on the battle. Nobody to help him. 3 wide on the back straightaway.
Vargas going to continue to just fall backward as now they're going to try and regroup and try it again. Gabe Wood up there to help his teammate in the 6. Another JD Motorsports guy, Bailey Curry there as well. They'll all just slot in line to the middle while Alfredo and Ray will lead them off turn 4.
You look to the right-hand side, again, a big deficit for Presley Sora. Only 3 points, but does not have near enough help around him to try and make up those spots. He's going to hope they continue to race hard, just like this, into turn 1.
And he's going to need a caution, but he doesn't want to end up in a situation as Gary Sexton, where he ends up just unfortunately getting packed in. And when you see how far Sexton and even Will Rogers are below that cut line, 11 and 12 points as they come out of turn 2, still side by side for the lead. It's Sim Seats Brigade, 1-2 on the racetrack.
And those two are both in the same pack behind this lead pack. They're about 7 seconds behind and losing time every single lap. They're trying to catch up, but they are struggling right now. I know Gary Sexton was out in front. He had nose damage. That may be part of the reason why they can't catch him.
They have somewhat settled things out here at the front of the field. We're starting to get in that portion where maybe you can think about green flag pit stops that could be on the horizon if we keep on going. About 20 laps into this run, about another 10 or 15 or so, they may start to think about coming to pit road.
That's definitely true, Blake. We'll see, though, if it stays green, because we had that almost caution there with Corey Heim and Preston Pardus. Who's to say we won't have one that officially brings out a yellow if Josh Mendoza sees it fit. They are still side by side for the lead. 3 cars up top. Josh Slade to give the push for Anthony Alfredo to hold on to the lead.
Here comes Alfredo. Pokes his nose out in front, almost clear, but that inside line just roars back in the corners. And Malik Ray is going to leave Anthony Alfredo in his dust. Make Malik Ray back out in front.
Ray trying to hang on, but now Alfredo has the momentum. He has Max Kinnon pushing him. You can see 3 of your top 4 currently in the playoffs as they run, and they're looking to hold it there as Heim will go up top with that damage.
It doesn't look like the damage is affecting the 78's mentality all too much. The thing is, nobody's going with him. We have seen one car be potent on the very high side, but it looks like the damage is stifling him just a bit. He's going to fall through, and now Ryan Vargas fills in the space in the middle.
Here comes Vargas with help from Gabe Wood. He's going to drop out of it. I think he doesn't want to be too aggressive. He knows that points are on the line, and he is not safe as far as the next round. He needs to finish this race where he's running, not back in the 35th position as they come off 4.
No, certainly not. He needs to definitely make some time up if he is going to have any shot to try and get forward. You can see Matt Stolnick right now working hard. He is the 3rd car on the inside row. He has Joshua Slate to his outside.
And Matt Stolnick, of course, a previous winner at Daytona, not this configuration, neither with the ARCA cars, but a couple seasons back, he went basically 4 and 5 wide to the start-finish line to win this Season 3 opener. So he's found some success at the World Center of Racing before, but now he's bottom 3 wide. Ryan Vargas through the middle.
Max Kinnon told Josh Slate, hey, I'm not trying to win this thing quite yet. So Josh Slate says, all right, I'm going to go to the outside. I'm going to make it 3 wide. Ryan Vargas will join Kinnon then in that middle line. And it's Joshua Slate and Corey Heim trying to lead the charge up top.
We'll see what type of work they can do right there. Is now Vargas and Slate just inches off of each other, nearly make contact for that 5th position. Now they do touch out of the tri-oval, so Slate trying to make that high side work, but he is getting a lot of door from a couple of drivers as Ray and Alfredo make contact.
Ray got sideways in front of the 20. I saw Shieldhouse. He immediately back out, but we will stay straight, and of course, we will stay green out of turn 2. Shieldhouse going to re-up the ante here, give the push to the 7, but it's Anthony Alfredo with that hiccup clear for the race lead.
Alfredo trying to clear that 7. He's not quite going to get there by the time they get to turn number 3, and that inside line will roar back. Some contact further behind between Ryan Vargas and Josh Slate, arguing for the same piece of real estate, banging door to door coming off turn 4.
Now remember, Slate and Vargas, they were involved in an incident earlier as Slate once again takes a swipe at Ryan Vargas. He's taken a couple as Vargas able to finally pull through. Vargas over the radio not happy.
And the question is there a breaking point? They make contact again. Slate pushes into the outside wall. He's going to try and reverberate back onto the racetrack safely. Luckily, he will. He'll get freight trained by everybody down low. Vargas had enough of it, and it shuffles the front pack again. Vargas now trying to help the 10 of DJ Cummings.
Has to be unbelievably frustrating for that 6 of Ryan Vargas in a playoff position. The 0-1 of Josh Slate is not. So now that 6, he's gotten that out of the way, clear his head a little bit. Now he's going to try and help DJ Cummings to catch up, to get to the lead as Malik Ray and Anthony Alfredo still lead.
One car into the wall off of turn 4. It is Preston Pardis, but doesn't lose too much speed out of it. You still have your Sim Seats duo at the front of the field. Kinnon and Shieldhouse helping out those 2. Then you have DJ Cummings, who has found his way back into the top 5.
DJ Cummings doing a nice job here in this BSC Shocks 225, but I see some concern along the horizon, guys. Look who's in front of this main pack. It's Mike Clay up on the rear side, Presley Sora, and Adam Cabot. Presley Sora far below the cut line, and then maybe even some more danger here as they're 3 wide for 3rd.
Championship implications, playoff implications for those guys. Here comes Matt Stolnick. Stolnick had a horrible, no-good, rotten day at Texas 2 weeks ago in the first round of the cutoff. He's up here now in the top 5 off turn 4.
Trying to make a move right now and ducking out of line is Maxwell Kinnon. Not going to have any help to help that 21 machine, though. He's trying to make it work, and perhaps he does. He'll gain some momentum on Shieldhouse as they're 3 wide for 2nd.
They're going to make some contact there between the 21 and the 20 into the first corner, and they still are rapidly approaching that quartet, including the 17 and the 98. You see how close the 98 is from elimination going into the round of 7, and being a lap down certainly isn't going to help when they come close.
Is not going to help whatsoever, and that could mean some last-second heroics might have to take place to get back onto the lead lap and then get back into a position up at the front and point themselves in as the field comes off turn number 4. Max Kinnon getting shuffled around.
And Kennan got high off of turn number 4 there as they'll come to the stripe this time. It is 25 laps to go. Eric, we have at least one more stop for the rest of the field if they should so need it. But looking up at this lap traffic, I don't know what decision they're going to make here, how they're going to go around it.
Yeah, holding my breath right here. I'm shocked we haven't seen a caution. We've seen a couple near misses. A lot of folks in the chat have pointed out just how dominant that third lane is when they're 3 wide battling. Like, it seems like 2 cars can hang in there pretty easily. Now, there's a risk. There's a caveat to that. You have to push pretty hard, and we saw that get Corey Heim and Preston Pardus into a little bit of trouble not that long ago, Blake.
It really is, and you think about this is the Twisted Sister era or scan of a race car, so that right rear quarter panel kicks out for some side forces, some contact made further back in the pack. Stolnek and Alfredo get together as Stolnek will make it 3 wide. They are on the lap traffic, and Presley Sora may see his championship hopes go up in smoke here.
The 98 on the verge of getting lapped. Josh Mendoza set up a race control chat. Good luck. Have fun with the way they're trying to get around this lap traffic. They're going to stay to the inside. I saw the 41 get picked off for just a little bit, but he will occupy 3rd as they're side by side for 4th.
And Cabot and Sora will both fall 1 lap down. Case Kalabach and Mike Clay will as well. And now those guys have a hold on that inside line other than Malik Ray out in front and Max Cannon, who's way back there on the bottom.
Oh, Stonehouse into the outside wall off at turn 4. He keeps it together. It'll stack up that outside line as he will fall back. You see one car able to take advantage there through the middle. That is Ryan Vargas as they're stacked up 2 by 2. What a move by Heim to the top side as well.
Heim threading the needle 3 wide all the way to the top as he found refuge, or at least he found some success off of Schildhouse's mistake, and now he's looking for the lead on his own lonesome, I guess, but it's not going to work here on the back straightaways. They're still side by side for 2nd.
No help for that 78. Meanwhile, for the lead, here comes Matt Stolnek round the outside with help from Bailey Turner. Anthony Alfredo and Malik Ray reunited once again on the bottom of the racetrack. Almost some contact further back. Adam Cabot apologizing over the radio with these lead lap cars.
Oh, we got several cars heading to pit road. Malik Ray, Anthony Alfredo, David Schildhouse, Justin Malillo as Ray slides through and just gets down to pit road speed in time, smokes up the tires and lights them up. It'll be interesting to see what the call here is. Is it fuel only? I imagine that would be the case. Just enough to get to the end. Perhaps just 2 tires. 1 car speeding. It is Justin Malillo out of that bunch of 4. And Malik Ray, 2 tires is the call. Have to imagine that the rest of your field likely going to see the same as they work through 3 and 4. Jacob, I think this may be a movement on the pit road here this lap.
2 tires would be the call for track position. 4 tires would be the call for control of your race car, as a couple of others going to make the call. Actually, party of 1. And never mind, Preston Pardus was going to, saw nobody was going to come with him, and he wasn't going to be able to slow down in time, so he's going to do another lap, and he'll try it again next time.
He missed pit road there, Kenneth. A bad overshoot there for Pardus.
Yeah, that's going to hurt huge out of the new Smyrna Beach native here from Florida. But my biggest concern there, as you saw, the quartet head for pit road, is the fact that they are a quartet. Look how many drivers are here at the front of the field. If they all decide to pit together, they're going to absolutely leapfrog all the other guys coming to pit road that last time by.
Well, but once they get into the draft and get reassembled and everything, I think they'll be okay. Just have to wait and find out and see when these guys are going to make the call. Matt Stolnek, your leader off 4.
Haven't heard too many calls over the radio, and you see just that. Nobody makes the trip down to pit road just yet. So they'll approach the stripe this time. 20 laps to go. This field, they have to pit at some point, but when is that going to be the case?
It's going to be interesting here. I think now that they've crossed the line for 20 laps to go, Blake, this is going to be the trigger point where all of these guys say, all right, this is my blueprint, and I'm going to execute here to go on to pit road. And now also you've got some lap traffic on the inside lane. So how does the field play this, or do lap traffic go with them? It's a huge question here as the leaders stay high.
If the lap traffic wants to have a shot at staying on the lead lap, they're going to pit with these guys, so that way they are on the same strategy. They stay in the lead pack, and they could potentially race themselves back onto the lead lap instead of waiting for a caution flag. It's now Ryan Vargas leading off 4.
You still see nobody willing to go down to pit road just yet. It is Vargas, then Stolnek and Cabot side by side for 2nd. Noah Lewis and Cummings side by side for 5th. Presley Sora trying his darndest to get into that lucky dog position.
And look who's moved into the top 5, the 05 of Bailey Curry. We saw him slamming into a car in the banking for one of our earlier cautions in this BC Shocks 225. Now he's got free space to do whatever he wants on that second lane, and he's going to push to third. Sora will follow him on the back straightaway.
Here they come down the back straightaway. Steve Affont with a charge up on the outside, 3 wide. He's going to drop in line, check up Nick Olson and the rest of that outside line as the field makes their way through 3 and 4. Adam Cabot, the left car, out in front of the pack. Ryan Vargas leading the race side by side with Cummings.
So Cabot will control the race now. It'll be DJ Cummings who has control of the top spot. Leading that middle line will come through. Cabot now the lucky dog, and this is again having an implication with Presley Sora.
And Preston Partis finally went down pit road. There he is, that yellow car on the apron trying to merge back. He will do so out of turn 2. But what I like about this car here is that Vargas is behind the lap car, so he can save some fuel on this back straightaway if he wants. That outside lane with a charge. It's the 10 of DJ Cummings to the very front.
Hearing the magic number is 74. Gabe Wood came over the radio and somebody asked when they're pitting, and he said 74. So we should see them pit, not this next time by, but in 2 laps as DJ Cummings leads them off 4.
Well, you'll have to see, Jacob. I like this call to stay out. You can add less fuel on this pit stop the longer you stay out. So this may help this field if they can afford to take a gallon, 2-3 gallons less. That's going to save them time on pit road.
And if you're the quartet here, Blake, as they head for turn 1 of Malik Ray, Anthony Alfredo, and the others that join them, are you now worried that these guys are staying out as long as possible, or are you still confirmed that your call is going to work? It's Bailey Curry, DJ Cummings, now side by side for the lead. 2 non-playoff drivers looking to spoil the party.
And they've got 2 playoff drivers behind them that are lapped down in Sora and Cabot. Of course, Cabot locked in with the win last week, but here comes the 05 and the 10, door-to-door coming off turn 4 as the field looking maybe to make some stops.
Several Cummings, Vargas, Stahl.
Oh, trouble! Curry gets turned around. He's in the grass. No caution, and numerous drivers crash and overshoot pit road.
Again, this is entering pit road, so they are off the racing surface, no caution out. And again, this pack was losing, I looked at that last time, about 6 or 7 tenths per lap to the pack of 4. Bailey Curry overshoots his pit stall. So does Case Collenbach. So an absolute disaster for this lead pack that is all going to be jumbled apart. Some more drivers heading onto pit road right now. Ford Martin, Will Rogers, Gary Sexton, George Belfans Jr., a couple of others. They'll make their trip onto pit road, but I imagine that this crew that pit early will be in a great spot here.
Well, and you're also going to have guys, sorry, Kenneth, you're going to have guys that have black flags for overshooting pit road after that first stop. Amongst them, Max Kennan. I'm not sure if they're going to get that cleared. Looks like they did clear it. Josh Slate now with the black flag coming onto pit road right now, speeding on entry. So with that chaos, you've got more penalties than just one.
You have 1 car trying to hang on to this pack, and I believe that they are going to drive away. That is Ryan Vargas, who came off first on this strategy. But again, you saw the formation of these 4 drivers. They were making up about 4 or 5 tenths a lap, and you see the difference right now. Remember, this is the same thing that we saw at Daytona on the road course, the MX-5s, this group of Schildhaus, Alfredo. They made it up on strategy, and they're making it up more, Kenneth.
And it also helps as well, Blake, that if you're single file, you're obviously going to make more time. They were side by side for how many laps until they ended up going down pit road, and before we had that huge crash that is now going to take a majority of the field in that group out of the race potentially. Being single file is helping them dramatically, and it may be the turning point of this entire race. Malik Ray has shifted up to 3rd. James Bickford set Eggert on the pit lane. Eggert misses his stall, has to back up.
And here comes Malik Ray. He's barking out orders to the 3 guys behind him in Alfredo, Schildhaus, and Melillo. Top, bottom, middle.
Well, he's trying to miss those lap cars, though, or at least they're becoming lap cars now that are behind and getting lapped through this portion of this race. Ray, Alfredo, Schildhaus still way in front of the field.
And there is a level of trust when you have a guy like Malik Ray at the front of your pack. How good is he at these super speedways? He's one of the best regarded on the oval side on the iRacing service. So to have a guy like Malik command the field like he's doing right now, it certainly is a good one. And you're trusting that 7 to hold you in the last 14 laps.
Let's see what these guys can do. You know that you're going to have guys trying to chase after them as quick as possible to try and get back in position. Now, Max Cannon, you see, he's getting lapped right there.
That is big as we see these points changing lap after lap. Bickford was in second, but he just came off of pit road, so he will lose a ton of spots. I'm interested to see when he comes back around where exactly James Bickford is going to line up in the playoff picture. You can see right now Presley Sora has made up some spots through some black flags, through a couple of drivers overshooting, and because of that, Presley Sora at the moment, Jacob, is in. He's the cutoff driver.
And he's trying to be the first car one lap down right now. He's on the outside with the leaders here in turn number 3. He's got help from the 6 of Reed Wilson on the outside.
He is, as we work across the stripe. Thought I saw one driver nearly get turned, and in fact I did. It was Gabe Wood who got shoved to the inside, but they'll keep it green. Sora trying to fight for his lap back into turn 1.
And Jacob hit the nail on the head there as they were coming out of turn 4. Sora now occupying the first lucky and only lucky dot spot. If we get a yellow in the last 12 laps of this BC Shocks 225, he may even have a better proposition if he can get ahead of Malik Ray and unlap himself, at least for the moment. Here comes Bailey Turner with help into turn 3.
Bailey Turner and Nick Olson, they are on the lead lap. They have caught this top pack, and they are trying to charge through. The only problem, Presley Sora is in their way. Alfredo leads off 4.
Alfredo trying to lead to the stripe. He would be in, and you can see Showhouse also way to the good. You have to imagine they want to keep things pretty tame, as well as Sora, who right now 7 points above Will Rogers, who sits on the outside.
Yeah, that's going to be big there as Presley Sora officially surges ahead of the 7. So bring Presley Sora back to the lead lap for a quick moment, but out of turn 2, Malik Ray will take it right back. And you got to love the situation for the 23 and the 20. At this point, so safe that you could just hold on and do nothing for the next 11 laps and you're in.
They just need to hope the rest of the field holds it together. That's the big concern, because these other packs that are splintered around the racetrack, there's one of them that's single file. The rest are double wide and trying to catch like crazy the Alfredo and Ray machines.
The other drivers that are on the outside right now, Kinnan, who is a lap down at the back of this pack. And then you have Gary Sexton, who has found a collection of about 4 drivers that are about 10 seconds in front of this lead pack.
And they're slowly catching in. They're roughly 6 seconds, or at least Fern is 6 seconds behind the 5th car in this group, David Schildhaus, on the lead lap. So they are closing in, but the time is starting to run out. We're in the final 10 laps, so they need to make some work very quickly.
They need to be catching them at almost a second per lap, and right now they are not. They're actually losing time to this lead pack, getting helped out, believe it or not, by these lap cars. It's helping this top 5 escape the rest of the field. Malik Ray continues to lead the charge.
You see a lot of respect being given up here up front. Everybody kind of minding their situation. They like where they're at right now. So you have to imagine that they may not kind of put the gloves on until these last few laps, 9 laps to go. Sora leading the line, but it's Ray leading the race.
The field is crossing their T's and dotting their I's, but what I'm seeing is a sneaky potential move to the race lead. The second car on that outside line, he's not a lap car. He's racing for the win. That's the 5 of Bailey Turner for Cabot Esports. If he can push ahead with the 98, it'll be a huge spoiler, his first win of Season 5.
No doubt about it as they make their way through 3 and 4. You've got, in this pack, you've got Bailey Turner, who we thought could be playoff potential, and then Nick Olson, who made the playoffs and was eliminated out of that first round off 4.
Oh, he could try to provide some help, but that's as much as they can do as they ride a lap down. Several drivers, Rogers, Sexton, and Maxwell Kennan, hoping that something happens at the front. If they could throw a grenade in this pack, I'm sure they would do it.
It probably would, but there may be a grenade up in front of them if things go wrong. There's a line of 5 cars, lap traffic, 2 of them underneath the cut line. Rogers in the 55, Gary Sexton in the 1, so watch out for that as they head for the back straightaway.
Bailey Turner poked his nose out in front for just a moment of Malik Ray. Can't quite do it now down the back straightaway, trying to push this 98 in front to get him back on the lead lap and give the 5 some clean real estate up on the top side. It's all Malik Ray, though, down on the bottom, side by side for second.
And again, not too close to one another. We were not seeing quite the 3 wide that we were seeing a little bit earlier. Now they cross the stripe, 7 laps to go. There's a lot of lap traffic in front. This could be something that shakes up this race when they catch them.
It could shake up the race, but Blake, if they just hang into the draft, they're just going to only continue to gain more time on the likes of Colin Fern and company because they're losing ground now as they head out of turn 2. At least the main pack does. That second pack still waiting a couple of moments to get to this part of the track, and they're side by side up in the front, lap traffic on the back straightaway.
Yep, here's the lap traffic. The 27 of Michael Massey. Where does he go? He goes bottom. Corey Heim goes top. They get squeezed. 3 wide through 3 and 4. They're going to try and hold on 3 wide, almost 4 wide. They make their way. Michael Massey moves right at the last second.
Oh my goodness, I did not think that was going to work out. Thought that maybe that was going to bring out our 3rd caution of the night. Somehow they hold on to it as Corey Heim. Contact with Malik Ray. Ray goes around and the front of the field who had it made, unfortunately not able to get it done. Kennan piles in, and a situation here where they were all to the good. It blows up in their face as they work the lap traffic. Ray into the back of Corey Heim sets off an accordion, and this, my friends, will change everything.
2 things on that caution. Number 1, Colin Fern and company are breathing a sigh of relief. They're back in this game after what looked like the race was going to be over with 6 laps to go. And number 2, Presley Sora is the first car 1 lap down. He will be the lucky dog. Actually unlapped himself as the field wrecked behind him. Made it through the crash. Sora might be back in this game to hold on to the spot for the top 7.
And we'll have to see who the lucky dog is, guys, because remember, if you get any contact when the caution comes out and you are eligible for the free pass, you do not get that free pass. So that could be interesting since those lap cars were right in that lead pack.
We will sort it all out on the other side of this break, and boy, 5 laps to go here at the BST Shocks 225, and it has been turned right on its head.
This is an Interstate battery. More pros trust this than any other out there. Yeah, more pros. More. Even more pros. Keep going. Moss. Look, we're gonna run out of time before we run out of pros who like Interstate. I mean, we'll run out of time before we even run out of left-handed pros who knit. These pros are everywhere, which means so is this battery. Right around the corner, up the street. Everywhere. Interstate batteries. Outrageously dependable.
Visit our website at toughgoflooring.com.
Back with you here as a wild night at Daytona gets even crazier as a caution with just a handful of laps to go will shake up this final race of the round of 10 in this Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Interstate Batteries playoffs. And we are back. We do have a determination on the lucky dog. It is going to be Justin Malillo who gets the lucky dog. So unfortunate here for a couple of playoff contenders that may not be eligible for it. However, Presley Sora was on the lead lap in front of that wreck, so Sora will cycle around to the front. Will Rogers, first car 1 lap down. He is on the outside looking in. Gary Sexton looks like he is going to restart and get waved around the field, so he will be able to make his way around and perhaps make up some points. Kennan a lap down as well. Going to be tough for him to try to make that back up as he sits in the 35th position right now, but has 11 points that he could potentially make up. So he will need a miracle to try and make this happen. So whew, We were looking at that wreck, guys. A lot happening right there, but contact between Corey Heim and Malik Ray is the contact that kind of set that off, Kenneth.
And you know, every single time, Blake, that the lead pack approaches lap traffic, especially a group like that, at the point that they were going side by side, you know somebody's going to force the nose in, especially guys like Malik Ray, you know, Corey Heim, all those guys, they have nothing to lose, so they're just running for the win, doing whatever they can to keep themselves alive. And at that point, it was just chaos once the bumpers locked. Again, we talked about how they don't align in these ARCA cars, the rear and the front bumpers, apart from, let's say, the next gens that we've ran on super speedways earlier throughout Season 5. So that's the problem. And then just getting one driver loose is enough to check everybody up. Somebody's going to make a mistake. Somebody's going to hit somebody else. And that's where you have this caution that does ultimately help Presley Sora and helps all the other guys. Colin Fern, Bailey Turner, Ryan Vargas, Garrett Smithley. Or rather, not the number 5 attorney. He was involved in the caution, but Fern, Vargas, Smithley, Lyons, Stonick, all those guys who were hanging in the back, they've now got a shot to win this thing in the final 2 laps.
I think Sexton came down and got his fast repair. So Sexton, who was slated, I think, to get the wave around, will not now. So an interesting call right there for Sexton, who kind of just needs to throw a Hail Mary at this point. He did have a meatball flag. Okay, so he did have required repairs. So unfortunate that he was not able to take that wave around to try and make up some points here. So as much as we were talking about this could change everything, I would say that the 3 drivers on the outside are still at quite a deficit here, as we're going to restart with a natural green-white checker, not an attempt at overtime. This will be a 2-lap dash to the finish. Nick Olson stayed out and will restart as your race leader. Schildhouse on his outside, as we will drop the pace car in just a moment off of turn number 4. This is going to get good. So if you have a seat, I know you're at a screen, but you may not need it here. Pace car dives off. Here is Nick Olson, David Schildhouse, green flag in the air. 2 laps to go at Daytona. Great restart on the outside for David Schildhouse. He'll have drafting help from Anthony Alfredo as they scatter behind them 3 wide further back in the pack. Somebody goes beneath the yellow line. It's EJ Cummings, but Schildhouse leads him to 1.
He's going to try to merge back on the racetrack.
They're wrecking.
Done safely, but they're wrecking for position behind. Around goes multiple drivers in the outside wall. Bailey Curry, Preston Partis, Reed Wilson, Seth Eggert, Noah Lewis, and multiple others. And we saw it happen there, especially with DJ making it 3 wide. He was supposed to merge back up again. This yellow line rule in effect on behalf of Josh Mendoza and race control. Cummings looked like got a little bit too eager on the restart and paid the price for it coming back up the track.
Well, again, we will have to see who the lucky dog would be out of this. DJ Cummings, again, there is a yellow line rule in effect, so he went down there, tried to get back up. It looks like Lewis at this juncture of the race was unwilling to let him back up. So you see the contact right there between the 95 and the number 10 car. This is Corey Heim, who thought he had it missed, and hard lick there for Corey Heim.
Hold on, guys, hold on. We have white flags in sim. Green-white checkers I don't think are on. We've got white flags across the board. This is the last lap of the race. This race is going to end under caution. Hold on. Now Ford says we're going to try and fix this, but green-white checkers are not on. So in sim right now, this is official as far as the in sim race is concerned. So I don't know how they're going to even think about fixing this, but David Schildhouse right now looks like is going to win this race.
We are listening into the communication as they try to talk to the drivers to see what is going to happen here with the end of this race. You see the playoff standings on the right-hand side of your screen, I believe, as they would stand should this race be considered official. We will we will await their decision on this, and boy, has this you talk about plot twists, Eric. We've had a lot of them in this race.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see exactly how this gets scored, how this lobby was set up. Chat certainly unsure of what's going on. David Schildhouse laughing. You can see on your screen right now. He's hoping for the best. He's hoping that this race is official. But I guess we're all just waiting to see exactly what happens.
Let's see here. Well, you see, Showhouse is still pacing around. You can see the checkered flag is out on your screen. That is because our graphics and everything are linked to the iRacing session. So if we are to go green, we basically have to throw the ticker out. We'd have to throw the playoff standings out, and there'd be a lot left to determine after the race. We will see what their decision is. It's tough here, Jacob, because if the session is complete, if you come down pit road, your car's not going to pit you. So this is an interesting scenario here where doing this manually and just telling them, hey, we're going to race regardless of what the session is, that's a difficult decision to make because there's so many variables that aren't available. And that pace car wouldn't come out. We wouldn't have multiple green-white checkers. You have to think the timing of the server may run out. So there's just a lot of factors here to keep in mind.
You've got no more green-white checkers. You can't, if you restart this race and you wreck, you cannot fix your car. You don't have a fast repair. The pit road can't touch it. There is nothing you can do. So Colin Fern is 4 points in right now. If we go and try this and run a race, Colin Fern gets involved in an accident, he could fall out of the playoffs because he can't fix his race car. And somebody like Will Rogers, who is on the outside looking in, still has a car that can run, can potentially pass him when there's no scoring and there's nothing that Colin Fern can do. I think the right call has to be here. Pull the plug, call it a day. We'll see what the admins decide to do here. I'm sure right now there are a lot of people in a voice chat right now that are trying to put everything together.
Well, this is tough right here. You can see Showhouse, he's doing what I think any leader would do. He's trying to go full speed and think, hey, maybe this thing is over. I mean, you also have to think fuel mileage could come into play, and you cannot pit the car. They will not add fuel, so if you put just enough fuel to get a couple of green-white checkers in and we're pacing around trying to figure it out, you can have drivers run out of fuel and they can't pit the car. Boy, it wouldn't be... It wouldn't be Monday Night Racing without at least a little bit of drama, I guess I would say, Kenneth. But again, we are still awaiting official word on what the decision will be from race control. I believe Ford Martin's trying to talk in the session right now, and what we are hearing is that David Showhouse is the winner. You can see the burnouts happening right now. The race is official, and the results on your screen are at least confirmed for now. Of course, there are unofficial results. There are more things to review post-race, but as of now, unofficially, David Showhouse, your winner. We will not be having another restart.
It was a tough situation overall for race control to be in, and this immediately made me think about last season, Iowa with the trucks, when Colin Furnace stayed out, caution came out, whole order got put out of whack, and they basically spent maybe 20 or so minutes, maybe half an hour trying to get the field back straight, have everybody in the right order. This time it's a different scenario, green-white checkered, not enabled. And so they call this race as it stands, and this is the second win of Season 5 for Shieldhouse, and that will tie him with Raja Karouf with 4 wins on the season. So Shieldhouse played the restart right, and it ends up in his favor for win number 2.
It does, and I think the one thing to note of this, when we were looking at the playoff standings a little bit earlier, there is the amount of ground that Will Rogers, Gary Sexton, and Maxwell Kennan would make up. If we went green, even at this point, they are so far behind the cut line. I mean, we would have to wreck and then some, so I know there's a lot of discussion to have over that, but their deficit, even with this race ending like this, very significant. So I think this call is not going to affect the playoff standings, which I guess at the end of the day is exactly what you would want. This is the results as they stand. David Showhouse, your winner. Nick Olson brings it home in second. Anthony Alfredo third. Malik Ray finished in fourth tonight. Colin Fern in fifth. He has transferred through. So has Ryan Vargas. Bailey Turner, a nice run as he finishes in seventh. Garrett Smithley, who led a lot of this race, in eighth. Matt Stallneck is in ninth. And Robbie Lyons, Kenneth, rounds out your top 10.
I believe, as of the unofficial marking of the end of tonight's race, Mark Rubilis is the largest charger, plus 20 on the board after starting 31st. So a nice recovery out of the 99 for Crypto Autosport. Brad Perez, we didn't really see him much of all race. He was just kind of hanging in the mid-pack. He finishes in 12th. It'll be Preston Pardis. We saw some glimmers of him in the front of the field. He finishes 13th. James Bickford had been hanging around all race long, and I remember Eric telling us earlier, it's the long game. I think the long game might have worked to bring Bickford into the round of 7 in Season 5. Presley Sora had unlapped himself near the end of the race. He racks up the top 15. It'll be Justin Malillo who started 4th. He is 16th on the charts at the end of this one. Joshua Slate is 17th at the end. DJ Cummings in the 10 is P18. Bailey Curry will get the 19th finishing spot in the 05 car, and rounding out the top 20, Jacob Hitz, the 95 of Noah Lewis.
Seth Eggert comes home in 21st. Gabe Wood comes home in 22nd. Everybody else a lap down or more. Adam Cabot, remember, he's already locked in with the win last week at Las Vegas. He finishes 23rd. Case Kallenbach finishes 24th. Ford Martin finishes 25th. Will Rogers out of the playoffs, finishes 26th. Gary Sexton out of the playoffs. He finishes 27th. Charlie Brown 28th. Reed Wilson 29th. George Belfans Jr. 30th. And your final 5, Steve Affont, Mike Clay, Corey Heim, Michael Massey, and Max Kennan, 2 laps down in the 35th position. And Blake, this has to be he's been in the booth more often than I think the 4 of us have been, including Eric, David Schildhouse.
Yeah, David Schildhouse being pulled up once again, and it's not for a lack of having knowledge at Daytona. We talked to him to start the playoffs at this racetrack. We go to the oval, same result. David Schildhouse, what's going through your mind right now? I don't know what to ask. You might want to turn your audio on in Discord too, so we can hear you.
Hey, hello, how we doing?
There you go. All right.
Found it. Yeah, great weekend. Rolls into a great Monday night with a dub. Here at Daytona, bumpy Daytona. The Xyloware Chevy Impala SS was a beaut. She looks a little beat up, but we scammed him again, Blake. Everything about Daytona, when I'm working with Anthony Alfredo, we just big brain it. We roped Malik Ray into this deal, executed it perfectly. And there you go. The last restart turned out to be exactly that, the last restart. Like, when we took when we were coming to let's start lap 90 and it didn't say green, white checker on my screen, I was like, oh, I think they messed up. I don't think there's green, white checkers. I think I just won this race. And damn it, I did.
All right. You sure do. But so you have won in each of the opening rounds here to start this playoffs. I know we have, a couple more races to try and get back to that championship floor. I know you're hungry to get back on that stage. We move forward to a couple of combos, at least next. I know IndyCar's Auto Club. How you feeling about that?
Yeah, I think that we can do pretty well there. That's a combo. We've run that before. Usually works out pretty well. I think it's a better race to start that round than end that round. But, we restart, re-rack them, kick 3 drivers out and move on to continue our business, Picking up wins in the playoffs is the best time to pick up wins. Not winning the regular season, it don't hurt so bad when you pick up 2 wins in the playoffs when it really matters the most. So I'm really proud of everybody on the 20 bunch. Again, Xyloware, TobyChristie.com, Advanced GG, Next Level Racing, the Charlotte Phoenix, and everybody at twitch.tv/Schildhouse, man. We had them on the edge of their seat tonight, and we pull off another big dub. Listen, y'all said Adam Cabot was the championship favorite after he won last week, and I took that personally. I would like to stand here and tell you, you're wrong. I'm the championship favorite. He can stay in the back where he was tonight after he turned across my nose and wrecked himself. I'm happy to see that happen. But I want to see him in the Final Four so I can beat him straight up this year. But he ain't the championship favorite. It's me in the 20. Come on.
All right, David Schildhouse, shots fired up here in the booth. David, we'll let you get to celebrating your victory and being the favorite, as you just called yourself.
Well, do you agree? Or am I just out here tooting my own horn, pat myself on the back?
I think there's no driver with more wins in this playoffs than you, so can't say that you're wrong there, my friend.
All right, fair enough. And if you're not feeling sore after the pit, Blake, we're going to rough you up next time. I promise you that.
Oh, boy. Man, I think I was more sore for the Chili's afterward than driving at the pit. But David Schildhouse, your winner tonight at the Daytona International Speedway once again in these playoffs. He'll go to victory lane. We get the opportunity here. Kenneth will catch up with Nick Olson, brings it home in second tonight. Curious to hear his thoughts, Kenneth.
Nick Olson, 13th at the drop of the green tonight in the BST Shocks 225. It is second here tonight from the virtual Daytona International Speedway at the wave of the checkered. Nick, of course, you were in the midst of the entire lead pack off of the cusp of green flag strategy. Some lap cars in the mix as well. That caution came out. What was going through your mind as you got off of that caution and came into that final restart?
Yeah, I mean, that whole time I was thinking, oh gosh, please don't wreck, please don't wreck. And I don't know if y'all showed an onboard at all, but by the grace of God, we made it through that wreck with Malik and them. And we were able to inherit the lead. And man, if I had any inkling that that was going to be the last restart, I probably would have handled that a little differently. You know, you play these things to get a run back to the flag because you assume you're going to make it back there one of the 3 times, and that was a natural green white checkered, so that would have been a 4th attempt. But I was just trying to play it cool and get Malik to my bumper, and then we could have gone somewhere. And then the flag came out, got me second, fair enough, and all of a sudden the race is over, and you know it's your heart's ripped in half. You know, played our cards really well tonight, and just unfortunate technicality. I know nobody meant to do it, but. Not the most thrilled in the world right now. I mean, this is the 3rd time this year I'm sitting here talking to you guys with second place, which is great. I mean, I'm so thrilled for Grit Motorsports and Grit Marketing, you know, that we were able to run up front in this league and be competitive, and it's a dream come true. But man, that's the third time we've been oh so close.
No, of course, it was an obvious change that I don't think anybody was expecting, not even us up here in the broadcast booth. Once they crossed the line after that caution, we were expecting a green-white checkered there. But, Nick, it felt like something changed at some point in the race for you because it looked like you were kind of hanging around the mid-pack, just biding your time, waiting for things to settle. But then when that green flag stop came around, you were in the midst of it all for the race win. How big of a change was it behind the wheel mentally for you to kind of hang back, avoid the chaos, and then be in the midst of the hornet's nest for the checkered flag at the end?
Well, yeah, I do want to thank Colin Fern's spotter. I mean, Colin and Robbie and I don't know who else is on our strategy. We were kind of working together, trying to strategize when to come in, and then the pack kind of split up about halfway through that run, and I found myself as the only guy up in that lead group that was on our strategy. So I stuck with it, took the no tires and the 8.5 gallons, came out with Bailey, I think, who did the same thing, and we were able to hang on, and it was really sketchy there at the end with those lappers. And, you know, like I said, we made it through that wreck, but my go point was right before that green flag pit stop. I knew that I needed to position myself and get on the outside as guys were pitting. The bottom was going to stack up. The outside was kind of the place to be all night, and a lot of people didn't seem to realize that. So we were able to make up some ground and get in the top 10 for the pit stop, and then worked our way in the top 5. And if there wasn't a wreck there to bring out that green white checkered, we had a top 5 on lock. So I think it was 7 seconds back to the next car. So the strategy is not something that I consider my strong suit, but we hung in there.
So, of course, P2 in this Pepsi Billion scheme. Very interesting one on behalf. I know you run a lot of Jeff Gordon paints. This one certainly wasn't one that I was expecting on this ARCA car. But now moving out of tonight, the second place from Daytona. 3 more opportunities to get your first ever M&R Pro Series win. IndyCar Auto Club, Next Gens at Atlanta, and then the trucks at the Homestead of Miami Speedway. What are your thoughts about those 3 combos and how your confidence is going into the last 3 races of Season 5?
And, you know, unfortunately, I did miss that race. At Texas, and that was unfortunate, and we tried our best to throw it all out on the table and win the Miata race to make it to the next round. But I'm treating this as my own little personal playoffs and see where I end up by the end. I think any of those tracks we could be competitive, and it just comes down to luck and strategy and where you're going to be, because there's a lot of really good drivers in this group and really smart strategies, and you just don't know what is going to happen and when. So you just got to position yourself the best you can, like tonight, and hope you're in play by the end. That's really all you can ask for.
Well, if there's one thing that's for certain is that the Grit Esports car has a driver with a lot of grip behind the wheel. Nick, of course, we thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us on behalf of our team here at Podium. Want to send you a congratulations on the second place finish here from the World Center of Racing, and of course, wishing you the best of luck in the rest of Season 5, and we'll see you next week at Auto Club.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That's Nick Olson in the 24, finishing second here tonight from Daytona after hanging around the midfield most of the entire 90-lap feature. We'll send it down to third place. It's Anthony Alfredo in the 23. He's caught up with our very own Jacob Hitz.
Anthony, you and Malik worked together really well all night, and then you added Schildhouse to the mix there with those final couple of laps. Three of you just seemed to work together pretty well from the drop of the green flag.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Obviously, I had to work with Malik because we were both representing SimSeats driving simulators on our Chevys tonight. So we were working well in that sense, trying to get them some exposure and be up front. But I'd say our sim rigs definitely just made us that much better to be up there on our SimSeat simulators. So David was in the picture as well. He's always super competitive, and him and I work extremely well together. We came up with an excellent strategy to finish first and third, actually, at the Miata Daytona combo as well. So now we're at Old Daytona and finished first and third again with a different combo, just by having a nice pit strategy that we were able to include Malik on and put a bunch of time on the leaders. It got hairy with some of the lap cars in the mix when we were all kind of jockeying for position to set ourselves up for the end of that race, but ended up having a caution. I got turned in that, but kept it together and ended up finishing top three. So I'm sure you guys have all talked about the issues with not having the green-white checkers there. I'm definitely bummed I didn't have a shot to go defend my Speedway wins this year. I had swept the 2 Speedway races up until this point, so I wanted to keep that streak alive. I didn't get a chance, but big picture is we were in the next round. So I'm definitely pumped about that, and thankful for everyone watching my stream, watching the race, supporting the series, and excited to get to it next week already.
Well, and in that round, we've got the Indy cars at Auto Club, and then we take the next gens to Old Atlanta. Are you going to work together with Schildhouse there in those next 2 rounds and try and get both of yourselves into the Final Four?
Yeah, I'm sure. We definitely want to see both of us have a shot at a championship. And when it comes down to that final race, if we're both in the playoffs, I'm sure we'll even strategize how it could just be the 2 of us at the end so we could race each other. So we'll keep doing that. We've got some interesting car and track combos coming up that'll encourage that for sure. I'd say the Indy cars at Auto Club can be a toss-up, but that was actually a good car and track combo for me earlier in the Monday Night Racing League, the last time we were in there. So looking forward to that. Of course, next gen Old Atlanta, I think that really plays into my favor as well. That's another ball in my court in this playoff. So just going to try to capitalize on those opportunities to make a Final Four appearance.
That's Anthony Alfredo, your third place finisher tonight from Daytona. Good luck next week, and thanks for your time.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Anthony Alfredo, third place at Daytona and in the next round of the playoffs. Blake?
All right, so that is your top 3 tonight in the BST Shocks 225 at Daytona. We do have one more person to speak of before we wrap things up here, and that is going to be Ford Martin to kind of talk us through some of the decisions late in that race. So, Ford, I'll just go ahead and let you do the honors.
Yeah, thanks, Blake. Obviously, look, we'll be straight up. We're not going to hide about it. It's a mistake on our team. We didn't set the session up correctly the way it should have been. This is the first time we've ever run into a situation like this. And on behalf of Monday Night Racing, we're truly embarrassed. And we're sorry to our competitors and mostly our fans on how that race ended. It's not how we wanted it to end. But just to kind of explain everything, we thought we had 3 green-white checkers, which is something that we've done every single race in the existence of Monday Night Racing, and that was unfortunately not the case for tonight. So we were discussing a situation with race control Josh Mendoza, obviously me as a league owner, trying to figure out what our best move could be. The move was we thought about having a 1 green-white checkered attempt under caution in the server itself. We searched every type of option possible, and we came up one where that would have opened up a can of worms, and it was nothing in our rule book in the event of if the session was set up wrong. Unfortunately, that was not the case, but we had a member of our team that was unable to set the session up wrong for green white checkers, and and we do apologize about that. And the last, where that's not something that we want to do. But I take full responsibility on that situation and that mistake, and I can assure you that we're going to be taking multiple steps here this week to make sure this does never happen again and run to a situation like this again. So on behalf of Monday Night Racing, we apologize to our drivers, we apologize to our fans mostly, and that's a situation that we will never run into here again going forward.
All right, well, there you hear it, Ford. Thank you for talking to us and kind of clearing the air there.
Thanks, Blake. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. Want to thank BST Shots for coming on board today. We're sorry we couldn't get them the finish they deserve and the fans they deserve, but we're looking forward to the 3 remaining races here in the MNR Season 5 season.
All right, and we are as well, as we will continue to move forward next week with now 7 drivers that will be competing for the championship for the rest of this season. That will be David Schildhouse, Adam Cabot, Anthony Alfredo, Presley Sora, Ryan Vargas, Colin Fern, and James Bickford. Your 7 drivers that will be competing for the championship, as you see on the right-hand side of your screen. The 55 of Will Rogers is eliminated from championship contention tonight. So is the number 1 of Gary Sexton and the number 21 of Maxwell Kennan. The 3 drivers who were eliminated tonight at Daytona and will not be eligible to try to move forward on these next 3 races and compete for this title. So Kenneth, Jacob, I don't really know what to say. We had a little bit of everything in this race. Long green flag runs, a little bit of controversy. It didn't disappoint, and I don't think we'll be any different next week. IndyCars at Auto Club, heck of a combo. I mean, that is one of the most fun ovals in that car that you can go to. So many lanes, so many options for these drivers.
Yeah, it's going to be high-speed, intense action at Auto Club, just like it was tonight with the ARCA cars at Daytona. And I remember off the cusp of Season 4, this combo was almost voted in as the All-Star race, but then, of course, got kicked to the curb for what was ultimately the All-Star race chosen last season. And then when it got confirmed for this season in the middle of the playoffs, I think we all had that feeling that it was going to bring everything. It was going to bring green flag pit stops. It was going to bring the chaos. It was going to bring lap traffic in the field, making aggressive moves, 3 wide for the race lead, multiple laps on end. So I don't think this race, even despite the call for the end, really disappointed at all. But what things tell me here, Blake, after this round, is that if you got away with those little silly mistakes in the round of 10 or the round of 13 and the round of 10, you cannot afford any more now moving forward. We've seen guys like Presley Sora, James Bickford, Colin Fern escape off the skin of their teeth just because of this round and what happened last week with the trucks at Las Vegas. So now you cannot make any mistakes. You have to be prime, perfectly set for the run of the championship, or else it's bye-bye and get ready for Season 6.
Well, and one thing, Jacob, I think that always comes into question during these scenarios, you think about the NASCAR Cup Series, whenever they go to the round of 8, I mean, how many spots do you usually get in that championship for points? 1, maybe 2? I think that will be the same case here. Of course, we only have 2 races, but I wouldn't be shocked if we're looking at 2 spots in on points. So you're going to have to be on your A game in this next round.
We may not get any in on points, depending on how these next 2 weeks have played out. I know that's how these other rounds have gone. Normally, you'll have guys that, as long as they don't stiff it in the wall on lap 1, they should be okay. But you always never know for sure. Unless you win and put yourself in, and there's a chance that you're going home and you are not going to be on that stage at the end of the season racing for a championship at Homestead. And even guys that seem like they have all the momentum in the world, and David Schildhouse, Adam Cabot, they've got to be careful. It just takes one race to derail them, and they're going to be digging out of a giant hole when we go to Old Atlanta with the next gens, and it's going to be really difficult to get yourself out of a deep hole there. All these guys are going to want to be pretty close to that cut line. They don't want to see big gap.
No, absolutely not. And Eric, will bring you in one last time. I know there's a lot going on, and I just want to kind of hear your perspective on everything tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought a fantastic race. We were talking beforehand about how this could turn into a crash fest, and it never became that. There was great 2 and 3 wide racing. The lap traffic, for the most part, racing competitively but staying out of harm's way. It was setting up to be a great finish. Unfortunately, of course, the mistake there, setting up the session incorrectly, not having the proper green-white checkered rules. But one point is that we did race the ARCA cars tonight, and I don't believe ARCA has an official overtime green white checkered rule, so I guess it's fitting. We raced by the rules these cars were built for, if that makes sense. So definitely a lot of confusion in the chat earlier, but we had a great crowd tonight, a great turnout, and hopefully most everyone returns next Monday for the first race of the next round of the playoffs.
Well, again, even if you're not competing for a championship, Indy cars at Auto Club, that will be something to see. I'm sure you're not going to want to miss it. Of course, you can get started with us next Monday night with the Out of the Groove pre-race show at 7:30 p.m. Eastern before we kick things off for the main event with everybody that we have here on our broadcast crew, really talented crew that we get to work with. So for Ford Martin and Paul Sutton at Monday Night Racing, Josh Mendoza in race control. For Gary Sexton and John Theodore, Podium Esports. Our camera builder, Gary Sexton. Our overlay builder, Michael Hall. For Cameron Amadon on our social media team. And for our broadcast crew tonight, myself, Blake McCandless, my colleagues in the booth, Kenneth Bueno, Jacob Hitz, as well as Eric Estep. We say so long tonight from the virtual Daytona International Speedway. We bid you farewell and congratulations to David Schildhouse, your winner of the BST Shocks 225.